Infinite projection room begins with the projection of Ultron's world destruction. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1: Iron Man, Batman, Magneto, Hikaru, Doctor Strange. In the Avengers building, a group of Avengers were celebrating their success in destroying a Hydra base. An old man came over and said, "Give me a glass of wine." Thor looked at the old man and said repeatedly, "No, no, no. Look, this wine has been brewed for 1,000 years and stored in a wooden barrel made from the wreckage of the Grenhill fleet. This stuff is too much for mortals. Don't bluff." The old man waved his hand and said, "Hurry up and get the wine." The next second, the old man was drunk and was carried away. Thor shrugged helplessly. "Okay guys, how about we play a game?" Tony Stark walked down from upstairs with a tired face. "Tony, are you okay?" Captain America asked worriedly. "I'm still." Before he finished speaking, the next second, Tony Stark's figure disappeared from everyone's sight. Tony. Captain America was stunned, and Thor was stunned. Dr. Banner and Black Widow on the other side were also stunned. "Is this Tony's new trick?" Thor asked with a question mark on his face. "I don't think so." Captain America's expression became extremely serious. "Avengers, get ready for battle." As Captain America's voice fell, a hammer flew across the sky, and Thor's casual clothes turned into Asgard-style armor under the special effects of lightning. Dr. Banner took a deep breath, and his heart rate continued to rise. Black Widow on the side silently left Dr. Banner for a distance, and at the same time, she took out 2 stun batons from somewhere in her hand. At this time, a large screen suddenly unfolded. It said Infinite Screening Room at the same time. A bald androgynous woman in a white robe on camouflage frowned. "The future is all messed up." She put down the tea in her hand, picked up the fan, and walked into the light door behind her. DC Universe. In the Wayne mansion, a middle-aged man named Bruce Wayne was listening to the butler telling him about the formation of today. Alfred helped Bruce wholeheartedly. After so many years of getting along, Alfred and Bruce had already been like father and son. But the next second, something happened that shocked him and almost caused him to have a heart failure. Bruce Wayne disappeared. The master he regarded as his own son suddenly disappeared. What followed was a huge screen in the Infinite Screening Room. On the screen, in the X-Men universe, in a tavern, 2 young men found a very handsome but extremely bad-tempered middle-aged man. "Hello, my name is Charles Xavier. I'm Eric Landshear. Get lost." The 2 young men smiled at each other helplessly and were about to turn around and leave, but the young man named Eric Landshear suddenly disappeared. "What the f-?" Charles suddenly swore when he saw this scene. "What's going on?" The middle-aged man turned to look at Charles and asked, "That kid used his ability to leave and left you here?" "No, I know Eric's ability very well. He controls the magnetic field, not space teleportation." The next second, a screen appeared with the words Infinite Screening Room written on it. "Boy, what the hell are you doing?" The middle-aged man stood up and clenched his fists. "Logan, sir, please listen to my explanation first. M78 Nebula, the Kingdom of Light. Tregear, the young red Ultraman, the son of the captain of the Space Guard, Taro, waved to his good friend, Tarikia, and ran. Taro." Tarikia was obviously in a bad mood, but Taro's EQ, which was so low that even King Red couldn't stand it, didn't notice this. The next second, Captain Tarikia. "Something big is going to happen." A blue Ultraman from the Scientific Research Bureau flew over quickly and shouted, "Captain Hickory." He suddenly disappeared. Tarikia. At the same time, on planet K76, an old man who was drinking tea and slacking off frowned, put down the teacup in his hand, and crossed countless light years from planet K76 directly to the Scientific Research Bureau in the Kingdom of Light in the M78 Nebula. The power to transcend the multiverse. This time, the old man who slacked off all day finally got serious. In another Marvel universe, in the Supreme Sanctuary, Doctor Strange, who has become the Supreme Sorcerer, is discussing with his assistant Juan what to eat for lunch today. "Why don't we go to that Chinese restaurant?" I think the fish flavored pork shreds there are delicious. Wang said, we've been eating sandwiches for a week. First of all, I still don't understand why there is no fish in the fish flavored pork shreds. Secondly, we should abandon our appetite. Finally, if we eat the fish flavored pork shreds, we can consider fasting for at least 2 days this week. Doctor Strange looked at the numbers in the account book and said that he had never been entangled in what to eat because of money before. The next second, Doctor Strange disappeared. Strange? I hope this is a new magic you invented to avoid lunch. A magic circle began to emerge in Wang's hand, and he found that something was wrong with this matter. Similarly, a large screen with the words Infinite Screening Hall appeared in front of Wang. At the same time, the 5 people who disappeared appeared in a huge space at the same time. In an instant, they were teleported into this unknown space. Tony looked at the 3 men and the unknown humanoid creature around him, and his brows frowned immediately. The 3 were middle-aged men. One was wearing a monk's robe, one was wearing clothes that seemed to be from the 1960s, and the other was wearing a short-sleeved shirt. Okay, everyone, can you introduce me? If you plan to kidnap me for ransom, just name your price. Tony Stark looked at the few people, especially the weird blue humanoid creatures. Tony Stark, even if you are the richest man in the world, your wealth is useless in the face of magic. Strange looked at Tony Stark not far away, frowned and said, besides, this may not be a problem that can be solved by magic. Magic? Tony Stark looked at the middle-aged man in a monk's robe, curled his lips and said, I don't believe in magic or witchcraft. What kind of technology is this? If you are willing to sell it to me, I still say the same thing. Name your price. Tony Stark was a little excited when he said this. He is now trying to use artificial intelligence and the Iron Man suit to arm the entire Earth. If he has this ability to teleport without restrictions, the security level of the entire Earth will be taken to a high level. You are really as arrogant as the rumors say. Strange shook his head. A helpless smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He used to be like this. Bruce Wayne on the other side had a strange expression. As the heir of the Wayne family, it was the first time that someone told him to name the price. Just as he was about to say something, Eric Lansher on the side finally couldn't help but exploded. Chapter 2 Awkward Magneto. What on earth is this place? Who are you? Are you going to capture me for human experiments? Eric Lansher, who is not Magneto yet, has activated his superpowers to control the magnetic field. Although he is in the honeymoon period with Charles, he is still very vigilant against humans. In this case, he did not immediately activate his superpowers to control the iron sheet he carried with him to cut the necks of the 3 people, purely because he did not know whether the other party was a mutant. At least, the blue guy is definitely not a human. Eric has always been committed to reviving mutants. The trauma he has suffered and the appearance of the blue weirdo made him feel that he was probably captured by humans using unknown technology for human experiments. Bruce Wayne's mind was in a mess, but he was the future Batman after all, one of the smartest people in the DC universe. I think which blue gentleman can provide us with some useful information. Several people also looked at Hickory not far away. Compared with the others, this guy who doesn't look like a human at first glance must be the most vigilant in everyone's mind. In addition to Eric, he now thinks that the other party may be a mutant. After all, mutants are all kinds of strange. Although the guy in front of him is even stranger, he can't rule out the possibility that he is his compatriot. Are you mutants? Eric asked cautiously. Several people looked confused. At this moment, a message rushed into their brains. Welcome to the Infinite Screening Room. Here, the system will randomly play important events in a certain universe. During the screening, the system will randomly ask questions to people in the screening room. Those who answer correctly will get points. The live broadcast points can be used to on-demand the past and future related to oneself. At the same time, the points can also be used to participate in the card drawing activity. This screening is a trial screening. After the audience has watched it, they can get 30 points for drawing cards or on-demand destiny. After the screening, everyone can leave freely. The first trial broadcast of the Infinite Screening Room will start in 3 minutes. The 5 people were shocked. Multiverse, on-demand destiny. These things contain too much information for them. 5 people, none of them is stupid. Iron Man, Tony Stark, a super genius, is the host of the 7th Infinity Stone, the Wisdom Stone in one version of the comic. Batman, Bruce Wayne, Batman's intelligence is beyond words, and he has an unshakable position in the hearts of countless Batman fans. He claims to be prepared, and he will kill you, even if he is a god. Then the laughing bat did kill Superman, the god on Earth, in the most horrible way. Doctor Strange, Stephen Strange. Before learning magic, he was a master in the field of neurology, with a photographic memory. Even after switching to the magic world, he became a powerful supreme sorcerer. Ultraman Hikaru, a member of the Hikaru clan in the universe, the chief researcher of the Hikaru kingdom, Hikaru of the Ultra Brothers, the creator of Infinite Zero, the creator of Ultraman Chicken, the guide of Ultraman Night V, the assistant of Ultraman Z, the lifelong enemy of the Cosmic Swordsman, the peak of the Blue Clan, who can lift the bird with one hand and kill the Emperor with one sword. The person recognized by King O, the savior of Abo, the owner of the patent for solidified life, the close collaborator of Band-Aid, and the person with the highest wisdom in the universe. He can use cheats to bring peace, chaos, to the world, and he can kill Emperor with a sword. The night ray blasts the bird. I'm just a scientist. Hikaru, yides. Even if it's the last Eric Lansher, he is the future Magneto, a leader of one of the 2 major mutant camps. There are no ordinary people in this circle. That's why they feel shocked. Now officially opened the Infinite Screening Hall live room. Captain America Steve Rogers joins the live room. Alfred joins the live room. Wizard Wong joins the live broadcast room. Ultraman Ace joins the live broadcast room. Wolverine Logan joins the live broadcast room. Avengers building. Captain America suddenly heard a voice similar to a notification. Worried about Tony's safety, he immediately agreed, after sorting out the information in his mind. The next second, several figures appeared on the screen. Captain America, Tony, how are you now? Tony Stark, I'm fine now, Captain. By the way, the technology in this place really makes me feel incredible. Captain America, we are gathered together now, but we have been at a loss for this screen. It's best if you're okay. What's that next to you? Alien. In the Batcave, the old butler who was about to go crazy with anxiety finally saw his young master, the person who was like his own child. Alfred, young master, are you okay, young master? Bruce Wayne, Alfred, I'm fine now. Immediately activate the highest alert mode of the Batcave, the temple of the twisting waste city. After joining the live broadcast room, Wong saw Strange's long face and felt relieved. Strange was not only the supreme sorcerer and an important force to protect the Earth, but he also carried the most important secret treasure of the entire Kamatage, the Eye of Agamotto. Now, at least it seems, that the supreme sorcerer is not bad now. Wong, to be honest, Strange, I prefer to believe that this is a new magic you invented to avoid lunch. Stephen Strange, stop it, my current situation is very complicated. How is the temple? Wong, the temple is very good. This live broadcast should be synchronized. Science and Technology Bureau. The King of Ultra looked at the screen in front of him with a serious face. He could foresee that he and the young man Hikari would have a certain intersection in the future. Of course, he was too lazy to see what it was before. Anyway, it will happen eventually. Just let it go. But now that the power from across the multiverse has appeared, the King of Ultra has rarely become serious. The last time he was so serious was when he fought against Absolute Darkness, the highest official of the Science and Technology Bureau and the first scientist of the Kingdom of Light. Hikari's disappearance is no small matter. Soon, Ace and Jack of the Ultra Guard came over, along with Taro and Tregia, who is still Taro's blue friend. King. Ace looked at the King of Ultra and said, I heard a voice. He invited me to join. Promise him, I have heard it. The King of Ultra's serious and solemn expression became even more serious. He couldn't see through this infinite screening room at all. Yes. Ultraman Ace, Hikari. I'm glad you're okay. I, Taro, Brother Jack, and the King are all here. The King is here. You don't have to worry. Hikari. Surprisingly, even the King was alarmed. Among the crowd, the most embarrassed person was Eric, also known as Magneto. Everyone else knew someone, but he didn't know anyone at all. No. Eric Lansher, Wolverine. Logan? Is that you? Mr. Logan? Magneto used honorifics with difficulty. In the tavern in the X-Men universe, some people also noticed the movement here. But the next second, the chaotic crowd instantly returned to calm. Logan was already at his highest alert against Charles at this moment. Psychic control. Charles smiled bitterly. Even if I don't use my psychic power, I can guess what you are thinking, but it doesn't matter at all. I just want to know where my friend has gone now. Fuck. What the hell? Wolverine cursed, and a message suddenly popped up in his mind. After several minutes, he joined the live broadcast room. Chapter 3, Ultron Destroys the World, starts. Wolverine Logan, okay kid, listen carefully, your friend is with me now, and he is safe. Wolverine Logan, as for this broken live broadcast room, I can't do anything about it. You kid can do whatever you want. Eric had a constipated expression on his face. Others were communicating with their relatives or friends, so it was his turn to deal with this old man. Avengers building. The Ancient One, who was hiding aside, was also stunned after hearing what the captain said. Just now, she had activated the time stone and wanted to predict the future, but the result was just chaos. It seemed that, since this screen appeared, the future of this universe has become chaotic and unclear, making it impossible to see clearly. In other words, what will happen next? The Ancient One has no idea and can't predict it. Unbelievable. The Ancient One took a deep breath, and her heart beat uncontrollably. By now, she was sure that the system that kidnapped Tony Stark, who was crucial to the future, definitely had the power of the time domain. And it was actually able to suppress the time stone and make it unable to function. This is simply incredible. Thinking of the multiverse mentioned in the system announcement just now, Guyi suddenly felt a strong sense of uneasiness in his heart. Could it be that the mastermind behind all this is actually a multiverse level or even a higher level existence? That would be incredible. A multiverse level strongman can not only travel freely in countless parallel universes, but also create or destroy countless universes. And the existence that is higher than the multiverse level is so powerful that it is difficult to describe in words. If it is really a strongman of this level, then Guyi really has no way. She is now just barely touching the threshold of the single universe level, and is a good hand at the level of the Father of Heaven, but let alone the multiverse level. Even if it is a single universe level, beating an ordinary Father of Heaven is one dozen. Moreover, she also saw the next Supreme Sorcerer she selected, Strange, on the screen. When she saw the Agamotto eye on Strange's neck, she was very sure that this Strange was definitely the Strange who had grown into the Supreme Sorcerer in the future. In this case, it at least shows that the other party definitely has the ability to cross more than one universe. In other words, it is at least a single universe level existence. At this moment, the screen began to change again. What if Ultron got the Infinity Stones will be played in 3 minutes? What if Ultron? Infinity Stones? Hearing this question, Strange's expression was quite bad. As the Sorcerer Supreme, how could he not know that the Eye of Agamotto on his neck is a time stone among the 6 Infinity Stones? And in his timeline, he was also the one who knew about the Battle of Sokovia and some of the events in the Age of Ultron. Ultron, isn't that an artificial intelligence invented by Stark and then went berserk? Exclamation mark. If Ultron got the time stone, then who is the guardian of the time stone? And according to his timeline, he had not yet become the Sorcerer Supreme, so the Sorcerer Supreme was still the Ancient One. Strange knew very well that neither he nor the Ancient One would ever hand over the time stone to an artificial intelligence that wanted to destroy the world. In this case, then, it seems that there is only one result left. Ultron directly single-handedly swept the entire Kamatage and robbed the time stone. Thinking of this, Strange's face turned pale. If that was true, how powerful was Ultron? How did the Avengers win that battle? Exclamation mark. Bruce Wayne, who was proficient in psychology, noticed that Strange looked a little strange. "Sir, my name is Bruce Wayne. Do you know anything about this title?" Bruce Wayne said, "In this situation, I think we should gather all the information and analyze it together." The other three also turned their eyes to Strange. Strange took a deep breath and said quickly, time is short, so I'll just pick out the key points. The Infinity Stones are 6 stones with supreme power that were created at the beginning of the universe. They are power, space, time, mind, soul and reality. And Ultron is an artificial intelligence invented by Tony Stark. Strange said quickly, there is also a Tony Stark in my world, and there is also the Avengers, but the time in my world is much faster than yours, so I know more. Stark, if you want to protect the world, go back and destroy that broken artificial intelligence. It will only bring destruction. Tony Stark was stunned when he heard this. It was not fun to eat melon on himself. Can you explain it more clearly? Tony Stark's pride will not be shaken by 1 or 2 words from others. Literally, the artificial intelligence Ultron you created now. The screening begins. Infinity Screening Hall. First preview. What if Ultron got the Infinity Stones? The video began to play on the screen, and the first scene was the Mind Scepter in Stark's laboratory. That's Tony's laboratory in the Mind Scepter. How could Dr. Banner not recognize this scene? The next second, the voice of the narrator sounded. Tony Stark, one of the best scientists in this universe, perhaps the best. This genius has been trying to protect the Earth and improve the Earth's armed forces after experiencing the alien invasion. He even wrapped the Earth with steel. After the Avengers defeated a Hydra stronghold, they obtained the Mind Scepter. In the Mind Scepter, there is a Mind Stone among the 6 Infinity Stones. The Infinity Stones are 6 stones with supreme power produced at the beginning of the universe. They are power, space, time, mind, soul and reality. When the 6 Infinity Stones come together, they can give the user the power to destroy the universe and open up the universe. What? These 6 stones have such powerful power. The Mind Scepter actually contains the Mind Stone among the 6 Infinity Stones. Avengers building. Thor was stunned. As the second prince of Asgard, he thought he was the eldest prince. He had a certain understanding of the Infinity Stones. For example, his grandfather, God King Bor, had defeated the Dark Elves, and the most powerful weapon in the hands of the Dark Elves, the Ether Particle, was the Reality Stone among the 6 Infinity Stones. And the Cosmic Cube hidden in the Asgard treasure house was actually the Space Stone among the 6 Infinity Stones. But he didn't expect that the thing his stupid brother had in his hand and used as a stick to swipe was actually the Mind Stone among the 6 Infinity Stones. He was careless. And the expression of the Ancient One did not change. It was just the Infinity Stones. The Kingdom of Light. After hearing this, Jack couldn't help but look worried. Unlike the other Ultra brothers, especially Seven who doted on humans, Jack loved humans, but at the same time he also had a clear understanding of the dark side of the human race. Back then, his experience on that rainy day was something that both he and Go Hideki would never forget. King. Jack couldn't help wanting to say something. King Ultra waved his hand and said, it's just destroying the universe, restarting the world, and creating the world. It's nothing. It's okay for an old man. Don't worry about it. I care more about the artificial intelligence named Ultron. As for humans, we are not Earthlings after all, and it is even more impossible for us to cross the universe to be their babysitters. Jack could only retreat after hearing this. In the live broadcast room, Hikaru, Bruce Wayne, and Magneto also had different expressions at this moment. Such a strong power, if left unchecked, it may cause great harm. Hikaru said with some concern. The artificial intelligence named Ultron may become an extremely dangerous existence. Yes, this kind of extraordinary power still needs to be regulated. Bruce Wayne said in agreement. He is quite sensitive to this uncontrolled power. As for Magneto on the side, he is concerned about this power. After all, if he has such power, is he afraid that he can't change the situation of mutants? This is the first time I've officially written a book. Please give me some comments after reading it. If you think there's a problem with the description of a character, please feel free to raise it, and I'll revise it at any time. Chapter 4 First Blood. In this world, in order to protect the Earth, Tony Stark, the most outstanding genius scientist on Earth, used the power of the Mind Stone to create artificial intelligence, Ultron. However, things got out of control from then on. At the Avengers party, a group of people were gathering together to compete in lifting Thor's hammer. Many people came up to try, except Black Widow. It was Iron Man's turn. So, as long as you lift this hammer, you can become the king of Asgard, right? Tony Stark said to Thor jokingly. Of course. Then I will restore my virginity. Seeing this, Tony's face was somewhat embarrassed. Your dark history is just known to your friends. If it is broadcast in public, everyone will be a little embarrassed. Tony Stark even used the Iron Man suit, but the hammer did not move at all. Finally, he said unhappily, the handle of this hammer has an identification function. It only recognizes Thor's fingerprints. That's a very interesting explanation. Thor said with a smile, while holding up the hammer, but I have a better explanation. That is, you are not qualified. Come on. The screen played here and suddenly stopped. What's going on? I was enjoying it. How come it's gone? The questioning begins. This is the only questioning in the trial broadcast. Please seize this opportunity. Who in the audience of the live broadcast room can lift Thor's hammer? The objects that can participate in the answering this time are all members of the live broadcast room and all members of the screening room. If the answer is correct, 10 points will be awarded. If the answer is wrong, 10 points will be deducted or a penalty card will be drawn. Question: who in the live broadcast room can lift Thor's hammer? Looking at this question, everyone thought quickly. In fact, there is nothing to think about. In less than a second, Bruce Wayne guessed the answer. I vote for the beauty team. A gentle voice sounded, and it was Hickory, who had always been on the edge of Ono. Superman Aguang answered correctly and got 10 points. What? In the Avengers building, Thor looked at Captain America with a puzzled look. This is impossible. The answer should clearly be me. Thor, you should read the question first. It said that it's in the live broadcast room. There's no one in this live broadcast room except the captain. Dr. Banner said on the side, if it's you, I'm afraid you will be deducted 10 points directly. However, compared to the points, Thor still cares more about his hammer. He looked at the hammer and then at the captain. His expression was particularly awkward. Wait a minute. Magneto asked, isn't this progress too fast? I haven't reacted yet. In fact, this question is completely a 3-point question. Bruce Wayne said, there is only one person who meets the conditions here. That's right, in the live broadcast room, there can be no one else except the captain. Tony Stark looked unhappy. In his opinion, this question was completely a 3-point question, and he just suffered from not reacting fast enough. In a peaceful atmosphere, a very bad voice suddenly sounded. Of course you are not qualified. You are all killers. A tattered robot came out. Looking at this robot from Stark Industries, Tony quickly asked translator to ask Jarvis to shut it down. But this was useless, and the robot then claimed that it had killed someone. Thor asked who sent the robot, but the other party directly inserted a recording of Iron Man discussing Ultron. This time, Bruce Banner immediately reacted and recognized that the robot was Ultron. But Ultron immediately controlled other robots and launched an attack on everyone. It turned out that Ultron was originally a program designed by Tony to protect the Earth. But for some reason he concluded that to protect the Earth, the Avengers must be eliminated first. The Avengers quickly defeated these tattered robots. But Ultron's body had completely escaped through the network. In addition, another robot escaped with the Mind Scepter. After the war, the Avengers fell into chaos again. They all knew that Ultron had terrible abilities. It was even possible to manipulate the global Black Bomb program and destroy all mankind. But Black Widow claimed that Ultron's target was the Avengers, not the whole world. Tony opened Jarvis's program, and everyone knew that Ultron claimed that he had killed a person, and that he was referring to Jarvis. At this time, Thor, who went to track down the Mind Scepter, returned in failure. In anger, he rushed forward and lifted Tony up with one hand. Not only Thor, but also Captain America was blaming Tony. Finally, he exploded. Do any of you remember that I carried a nuclear bomb through that wormhole? An alien army passed through that wormhole and invaded the Earth. What should we do if that kind of alien invasion occurs again? It is to protect the Earth from the threat of aliens that Tony developed Ultron. Faced with Tony's claim that the Avengers may not be able to defeat the aliens, the captain answered decisively, then we will face it together. Even if we have to lose, we must lose together. Hearing this, the live broadcast room began to discuss. Captain America, I apologize for the actions I made in the video. Tony Stark, forget it. It hasn't happened anyway, or this is not a matter of our world at all. Bruce Wayne, but, after all, it is to entrust the safety of mankind to an artificial intelligence. Strange. Tony Stark, you don't have to be lucky. In my world, you messed up everything. Tony Stark's face was a little ugly. The future man named Strange opposite him seemed to be a wizard or something. If he really came from the future, then the Ultron he developed might have really messed up everything. Magneto, it's just a robot. It's just a pile of scrap metal in front of me. Magneto has absolute confidence in his own strength. He can manipulate magnetic fields, so he can absolutely defeat robots. Hickory, it's really amazing that humans use their own power to protect their planet. Even if they take the wrong path in the middle, this is just an inevitable step in the development of civilization. Mr. Stark, your original intention and idea are good, so don't blame yourself. Ace, that's right, the power of humans is like this. Ace, the heart of enthusiasm cannot be extinguished, even if this feeling has been betrayed hundreds of times. Humans have come to this point today by taking one step at a time and stumbling. The words of Hickory and Ace attracted the attention of others. Compared with others, Hickory was even too conspicuous. There was no way he was the only one in the live broadcast room who was not human. Humans were always extremely xenophobic creatures. They would rank each other according to the level of difference between the other party and humans. It was obvious that compared to the Earthlings and other multiverses, this non-human alien was obviously more xenophobic in the hearts of the people. Especially when Hickory had just taken the first blood. Chapter 5. Thanos delivers gems across 1,000 miles. Really? Then who are you? An alien anthropologist? Tony complained. Anthropologist? Hikaru suddenly became alert when he heard the term. Seeing Hikaru's alertness, Tony Stark suddenly had a bad feeling. The humans in that world would not be invaded by aliens because of their bad mouths. The scene continues. After escaping, Ultron rushed to an ancient castle in Sokovia and rebuilt a body for himself. At the same time, it also found the Scarlet Witch and the Quicksilver brothers. Later, in the battle with the Avengers, Ultron obtained a body made of vibranium with a Mind Stone embedded on his forehead. Tony Stark originally wanted Ultron to protect the world, but Ultron believed that the best way to protect the world was to eliminate humans. After obtaining the powerful power of the Mind Stone, Ultron easily exerted the power of the Mind Stone and easily defeated the Avengers. I created you to maintain world peace. Iron Man raised his head and said with difficulty. Captain America, Thor, the Hulk, and his creator, Iron Man, all fell at his feet. At this moment, Ultron looked at Iron Man with the attitude of a god, looking down on the world. I have evolved, but you primitive people can't see my evolution. But it doesn't matter, you will die anyway. As soon as the voice fell, a terrifying energy wave swept through, and all the Avengers were completely destroyed. And the first to bear the brunt was his father Iron Man, Tony Stark. Only Hawkeye and Black Widow on the Quinjet fighter escaped by luck. After successfully killing his father, Ultron went even further and controlled all the nuclear weapons on the Earth, turning the entire Earth into a scorched earth. After completing all this, Ultron was satisfied. Finally, everything is quiet and peace has come. Seeing this, the live broadcast room and the screening room immediately set off an uproar. Avengers building. Thor saw this scene and looked unbelievable. The next second, he picked up the hammer and flew into Stark's laboratory. Then, electric sparks flew everywhere. Captain America, Tony, this artificial intelligence you invented is too dangerous. We must destroy it. This time, Tony Stark, who has always been confident and even arrogant, was speechless. See? Tony Stark. Doctor Strange said seriously, this is the consequence of your arrogance. In my world, Ultron also caused the destruction of a city and the death of tens of thousands of people. Bruce Wayne was thinking, if such a terrible artificial intelligence appeared in his world, how should he prevent it? Perhaps, I should find a way to study some electronic viruses. It seems that it is important to build a strong enough network defense system. Magneto still looked disdainful, but he was a little guilty. But when he thought that those robots were made of metal, Magneto felt that he was okay again. Anyway, he could control metal, and robots were just a pile of scrap metal to him. In the Kingdom of Light, seeing the entire Earth turned into a scorched earth, Ace, Jack, Taro and other Ultramen were all angry but helpless. The purpose of the Kingdom of Light is, if there is another invasion by foreign enemies, then even if it costs their lives, they must protect the weak. But if it is an internal fight between civilized races, then even if the internal fight leads to genocide, the Kingdom of Light cannot intervene. And Ultron, this artificial intelligence created by the Earthlings to protect the Earth, is, after all, the work of humans themselves. It is not convenient for them to intervene, even if they can go. Ultraman Ace, so, is this the end of that Earth? Wolverine Logan, if there are no accidents, it should be. The entire Earth has been turned into a scorched earth by nuclear bombs. X-Men Universe. Wolverine Logan looked at the picture on the screen and couldn't keep calm. The current timeline is the 1960s. Logan himself has been hit by a nuclear bomb once. If he hadn't been hit by a nuclear bomb head on, Logan would still have the confidence to survive. He asked himself, even if he could survive that level of attack and escape the pursuit of that crazy robot, he couldn't survive on that scorched earth. The whole earth was turned into a scorched earth. Even if he survived, what would he eat and drink? Cut off his own flesh and eat it? Oh my god, a perpetual motion machine appeared. And he was the only one on the whole earth, so he might as well die. Well, his bastard brother might survive, but if it was just the two of them, then, forget it, let's just die. 1. I'm curious why the Sanctuary and the Sorcerer Supreme didn't take action. Although our mission is to protect the Earth from attacks from other dimensions, and deal with demons and magical creatures from hell, if the Earth suffered such a terrible attack at the moment, Kamar-Taj would not sit idly by. Bruce Wayne, if the situation is really as you said, then the biggest possibility is that the Kamar-Taj you mentioned has been destroyed by the attack of a nuclear bomb. Wang was stunned. If a bunch of nuclear bombs really fell on Kamar-Taj, Wang had no confidence that Kamar-Taj's magic protection would work. Wang, that's not right. The supreme sorcerer of that time should still be Master Ancient One. If it was Master Ancient One, even a nuclear bomb would be nothing. Others were stunned when they saw Wang's barrage. Tony Stark frowned and asked Strange, is the Master Ancient One that your friend mentioned really not afraid of nuclear bombs? That's a nuclear bomb. Don't treat us as wizards who know nothing. Strange explained, we in Kamar-Taj have always kept up with the times. We even installed Wi-Fi. How could we not know the purpose and power of nuclear bombs? I really can't stop a nuclear bomb, but if I have time to prepare, I can also intercept a nuclear bomb. Master Ancient One can definitely intercept a nuclear bomb easily. Everyone was arguing, and suddenly, the screen moved again. What? It's not over yet? On the screen, Ultron was quietly admiring his masterpiece. The next moment, a portal opened. A large purple potato wearing a golden glove with 5 gems of different colors inlaid on it walked out. Seeing the 5 gems on Thanos' hand, Ultron exclaimed, it's incredible. As soon as he finished speaking, a golden laser shot out from Ultron's forehead and directly split Thanos in two. Chapter 6 The surprise team arrives. Damn it. That's the time stone. Strange couldn't help cursing when he saw the green gem on Thanos' glove. 1. The green one is the time stone. The mind stone is on Ultron's forehead, so the remaining 4 are the power, space, soul, and reality stones. Wolverine Logan, that crazy robot can destroy the Earth with 1 gem, so now that purple monster has sent the remaining 5 gems. According to the previous statement, doesn't this crazy robot have the power to destroy the universe? Tony Stark's face turned green. He was originally very complicated because he created Ultron and let Ultron destroy the Earth. As a result, someone came to tell him directly that because of him, the entire universe will be destroyed. Magneto. But, if that robot really destroyed the universe, wouldn't he also be doomed? Wolverine. God knows what that crazy robot is thinking. In the Avengers building, the Avengers who saw this scene were all shocked. This scene was even too terrifying. That's what I said. Dr. Banner said with a wry smile. This is the first time I want to turn into the Hulk and help Thor smash things together. If the Hulk comes out to smash Tony's laboratory later, you must not stop him. Don't worry, Thor is about to smash the building down by himself. Captain America listened to the thunder and the sound of destruction in the laboratory upstairs and smiled bitterly. Not good. Dr. Banner suddenly said, if that Ultron has awakened, it will be useless, even if the laboratory is smashed. I have to do some protective work. Ultron is an artificial intelligence. He can sneak in the network. Thor, stop smashing and follow me to cut off the network of the Avengers building. Seeing this, Master Ancient One silently strengthened the space isolation of the Avengers building by one layer. Although she doesn't understand technology, when magic becomes powerful to a certain level, it can reach the point where one method can pass through all methods. What's wrong with magic? Can't magic isolate network signals? Ultraman Hickory, if that artificial intelligence really has the power to destroy the universe, then it should not be a problem for it to travel through the multiverse. Ultraman Hickory, Ace, get the space guard ready immediately. That artificial intelligence named Ultron is entirely possible to spread to our universe. Ultraman Ace, I have already sent Taro over, and the king also said that, if it is really an enemy from the multiverse, the king will definitely take action. Hickory, when you come back, start research on how to deal with artificial intelligence in the Science and Technology Bureau. Ultraman Hickory, I understand. This is the first time we have to deal with an artificial intelligence type enemy. The exchange between Hickory and Ace obviously attracted the attention of everyone in the live broadcast room. Mr. Hickory, are you saying that Ultron not only has the power to destroy a universe, but also has the power to travel through the multiverse to destroy other universes? Bruce Wayne asked first, and the others also turned their eyes to Hickory. Among the people present, Hickory's situation and status are obviously special. The more you know, the more you think. In human works, there have been scenes where human technology is crushed by aliens more than once. Although Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark are both geniuses in science, the clearer and more understanding they are, the more they know how profound the development of science and technology is. Tony Stark is an egomaniac, but he knows very well what is arrogant and what is stupid. It would be stupid to show his arrogance in the face of an alien force whose scientific development may far exceed that of Earth's civilization. When Ace mentioned Hickory, he mentioned the Science and Technology Bureau and asked Hickory to lead the research, which proved that Hickory himself was a researcher and had a high status. The eyes of others were also focused on Hickory, hoping that he would give an explanation. The multiverse is also a profound subject on our planet. Hickory said slowly, we have developed the ability to travel through the multiverse, but due to technological development and energy issues, it has not been mature and perfected. However, if Ultron can make good use of the 6 Infinity Stones, he does have the ability to break the cosmic crystal wall and cross the multiverse. That's why I asked Ace to do a good job of prevention. In our time, there was a powerful and mysterious strong man, the King of Ultra. Hickory wanted to say something, but the screen started playing again. Wow. After Ultron installed all 6 Infinity Stones, his eyes lit up. I saw everything. When Ultron obtained the 6 Infinity Stones, it not only gained unprecedented power, but also communicated with the other 5 Infinity Stones through the Mind Stone on its forehead, and obtained more information. For example, there are other civilizations in this world. Ultron waved his hand and used the power of the Reality Stone to produce a large number of Ultron robots. Then, it led an endless army of Ultrons and began to attack the entire universe. What the hell is this? How can that guy create so many robots with just a wave of his hand? Magneto was also a little dumbfounded. Seeing the godlike Ultron, even Magneto was not very confident. Ignoring the law of conservation of mass and energy, that would be a real problem. Hickory looked at the Ultron on the screen and was also quite troubled. Ignoring the law of conservation of mass and energy, even if the Ultra Guard came out together, it would still be a fierce battle. The Reality Stone has the power to modify reality. Strange said bitterly, I made a simple inference, based on the information of Kamatage. The Power Stone contains huge energy, and this huge energy just provides energy for the Reality Stone. Ultron perfectly uses the Mind Stone to manipulate the Reality Stone and the Power Stone. Then, there is a scene where he waves his hand and creates a whole army of Ultron robots. Ultron directly teleports a mechanical planet to the sky above Asgard. The next second, a huge laser falls, demonstrating Ragnarok in advance. Asgard, destroyed. Avengers building. It seems to be Thor's hometown. Fortunately, Thor is not here, otherwise. Okay, everyone, can you explain to me what is going on now? A voice sounded, and a boiled egg and a black windbreaker appeared. It was Nick Fury, the director of SHIELD. Fury, what is happening now may be beyond your imagination. Black Widow was about to explain, but she heard Fury shouting, "Oh my god. Isn't that Captain Marvel?" The next second Ultron teleported to Soklan with his robot planet and easily destroyed the planet. At the same time, he also easily wiped out the Guardians of the Galaxy. The Supreme Lord Sax's planet was not able to escape. This powerful man who was known as the god of the universe seemed to have only the fate of being slaughtered in front of the infinite Ultron. Just when Ultron landed on Xandar and was about to annihilate the Nova Corps in one fell swoop, a golden light fell and knocked Ultron into the center of the earth. It was Captain Marvel. Right square bracket. Chapter 7 Ultron, explosive star level combat power. Listen up, robots. I've seen movies about killer robots. Captain Marvel was glowing with gold, like a god of war, looking at Ultron below, and said, "But I don't think they need a sequel anymore." Then, Captain Marvel turned into a meteor and hit Ultron directly, even grabbing him and punching through the Earth's crust, rushing towards the center of the Earth. Captain Marvel, this powerful superhero, is also the one with the best record against Ultron so far. She successfully caused great damage to Ultron, and even almost crushed Ultron's head. Yes, almost. Honestly, you are very brave. Even though Ultron's head was about to be crushed, Ultron still had that emotionless voice. Captain Marvel's eyes were shining with golden light, and her whole body was shining with golden light, which showed that Captain Marvel had turned on the binary mode to the maximum, which was the binary mode that could wipe out an entire Kree army in outer space. Unfortunately, this is meaningless to Ultron. Ultron seemed to have had enough fun, stretched out his hands, and slowly pulled Captain Marvel's arms apart, without any effort in the process. What? Captain Marvel was a little bit unbelievable. The strength of this robot far exceeded Captain Marvel's expectations. As the most powerful superhero on Earth, at least one of them, Captain Marvel has always been confident in his own strength, and even maintained the peace of the universe. However, facing the terrifying enemy of Infinite Ultron, Captain Marvel, one of the most powerful superheroes on Earth, also seemed particularly weak. I have won. Ultron smiled triumphantly, and the mind gem on his forehead burst into dazzling golden light, which is the light of destruction and death. The entire Xandar planet began to collapse, and finally exploded, turning into dust in the universe. Not only Xandar, but also the surrounding planets suffered. Captain Marvel, killed. This robot is too scary. Magneto was stunned. He no longer dared to confidently think that he could easily crush Ultron. Wolverine. Fortunately, this crazy robot is not in our world. Wolverine Logan thought that he had lived for more than 100 years and had seen all kinds of storms. But he had never seen such a scene. Destroy an entire planet. He now dared not guarantee whether he could save his life if he met the Infinite Ultron. If he could destroy a planet, could he not cut his own adamantium skeleton? Bruce Wayne, you can't say that. Mr. Hickory Ultraman has already said that Ultron is likely to have the power to travel through the multiverse. No one can guarantee that he will not go to your world next time. 1. It is possible to be targeted and killed by a crazy star-blasting robot at any time. This feeling is really bad. Tony Stark, wizard, sir, if the Ancient One you mentioned is still there, can you solve the Infinite Ultron? 1. Tony Stark, I'm a mage, not a wizard. If there is only one Infinity Stone, it is possible. Strange, but with all 6 Infinity Stones, even if the Ancient One at his peak joins hands with the God King Odin at his peak, it is only a 50-50 outcome. Tony Stark was stunned. Tony Stark, Captain, you should quickly ask Dr. Banner to erase Ultron's data. He knows how to do it. It is much easier to destroy something than to create it. Captain America, Tony, in fact, Thor has already rushed into your laboratory and smashed it for almost 5 minutes. Tony Stark. Explosive star level combat power. The strength of this robot can already be compared with the Ultra Brothers. Hikaru's face was full of solemnity. The current timeline is still in the period when Taro has just returned from Earth not long ago. Teacher Eddie has just taken office on Earth, and Xiaoming has not even joined the Space Guard. Those future wall-hanging monsters and Ultramen who can easily explode stars have not yet been born, and the star-level explosion combat power is still at a relatively high-end position. Ultraman Ace, if it were me, I could also explode a planet with full output, but it would definitely not be as easy as that robot. Even among the Ultra Brothers, only Brothers off his M87 beam can easily explode a planet. Ultraman Hikari. In other words, if Infinite Ultron invades the Kingdom of Light, if the king does not take action, I'm afraid this will be another powerful enemy at the same level as Emperor and Velia. Ace and Hikari were communicating with each other on the barrage in the live broadcast room, and a group of Earthlings next to them were watching with their eyelids twitching. Damn, star level explosion combat power. Damn. How come you also have it? Damn. How come what you said is the same as your average star explosion? Damn. And casually exploded a planet. Several people are not stupid. Casually and going all out are completely two different concepts. Mr. Ultraman Hikari. Just call me Hikari or Hikaru. Hikaru's gentle voice did not let Bruce Wayne relax his vigilance. As a future patient with severe paranoia, he has now set this group of aliens who claim to have the ability to explode stars as his biggest imaginary enemy. Moreover, from what they said, they seem to be a group. Mr. Hikari, is your planet populated? Not very. That's not bad. About 10 billion. Destroy it. 10 billion is more than the population of the Earth, and each person can explode stars. What's the point of this? However, not everyone has the power of the Ultra Brothers, such as me. Hikaru pointed at himself and said, I'm just a scientist, so I don't have the power they have. Besides, our Kingdom of Light is a very peaceful place. The existence of the Space Guard is also to help various backward planets deal with threats from outside the planet. We never interfere in the civilization struggle within a planet. 7. I was implied. After hearing Hikaru's words, Bruce Wayne was slightly relieved, but the vigilance in his heart against this unknown creature has not diminished. Perhaps I should prepare a set of reflective Kingdom of Light armor, and this set of armor must not be controlled by artificial intelligence. In the Avengers building, after understanding the situation, Nick Fury's already dark face became even darker. Hey, everyone, don't worry. Thor came out of the laboratory above with a hammer. I have hammered that damn guy into a pile of scrap metal. In fact, you just destroyed Tony's laboratory, Thor. Banner walked down with a wry smile on his face, still holding the Mind Scepter in his hand. Drive Banner. Don't worry, Captain, I have completely cleared Ultron's data, but just in case, it would be better to let Tony check it again after he comes back. After all, my expertise is not in artificial intelligence. Tony is the expert in this area. Dr. Banner looked at the Mind Scepter in his hand and asked with a headache, this is what we want. What should we do with this Mind Scepter? Why not give it to me? Nick Fury suggested. Oh, forget it, Nick. S.H.I.E.L.D. was almost infiltrated by Hydra, and the Mind Scepter ended up in Hydra's hands. We got it back. What should we do? Hey guys, how about letting Thor take it to Asgard? Well, the Mind Stone in the Mind Scepter is one of the 6 Infinity Stones. My father said that things like the Infinity Stones should be kept separately. The previous ether particles, also known as the Reality Stone, have been sent to the collector in the void. What should we do? Everyone, since you can't do anything, why not leave it to me? A golden light gate slowly emerged, and a figure in a white robe walked out of it. The timeline of the Avengers should be Avengers 1, Thor 2, Captain America 2, Avengers 2. So at this time, Nick Fury is no longer the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8, Can Ultron Cross the Multiverse? After destroying all life in the universe, Ultron stood alone on a meteorite, looking at the empty universe and thinking about life. Suddenly, its eyes widened, as if it had discovered something. Infinite Ultron Destruction, Part 1. The broadcast is over. The next broadcast is scheduled for 7 days later. Please be prepared. The next broadcast is the official broadcast, and the functions will be further improved. The card drawing machine, Unit 01, is online. Welcome to use it. You can leave the screening room by silently saying leave in your heart. After 1 hour, the screening room is forced to close. Compared with the card drawing machine, everyone is more concerned about the sentence, Infinite Ultron Destruction, Part 1. What does this part mean? Could it be that there is a sequel to this story? That crazy robot has destroyed all life in his universe. If it continues, it may really be the story of his destruction of the multiverse. Ultraman Ace, damn it. Why did it stop at the critical moment? Alfred, this behavior is simply. Wolverine, I'm so angry. What's the follow-up story of that guy? Strange, that Ultron seems to have discovered something, which may be related to the second half of this story. Magneto, this behavior of ending it halfway is simply too immoral. Tony Stark, could it be that it discovered the multiverse? As soon as this was said, everyone was shocked. Avengers building, are you the supreme sorcerer on Earth? I heard your story from my father. Thor looked at the Ancient One. He had heard the story of this supreme sorcerer in Asgard. Hello, son of Odin. Ancient One said to everyone, we'll talk about the Mind Scepter later. Let's talk about Ultron first. After gathering the 6 Infinity Stones, that Ultron has indeed reached the level of a single universe that can span the multiverse. Stronger than me and Asgard's god King Odin. What? Impossible. My father is invincible. Don't be silly. How can someone in this world be invincible? Ancient One looked at her like a child who had not grown up. She said lightly, there is a multiverse above the single universe, and there are higher existences in the multiverse. This is how the world is. If His Majesty Odin and I are both at our peak and have the artifacts in our hands, the two of us can join forces to fight the Infinite Ultron on equal terms. It's true that he is a single universe, but that was promoted by the Infinity Stones. To deal with it, I have the confidence that the God King and I will join forces. But that requires our heyday, understand? If you don't believe it, you can ask your father. Hint, he is on Earth now. What? However, there is a prerequisite, that is, it must be in its universe for what I said to happen. Thor was confused, and so was Nick Fury. Captain America, it is very likely that Ultron, who has obtained the power of the 6 infinite gems, has the power to reopen the universe. In other words, it is a single universe level. This level of existence really has the power to cross the multiverse. Tony Stark, Captain? Captain America, it's not me, it was Master Ancient One who told me. Tony Stark, who? Strange, Master Ancient One? Exclamation mark. Yes, in your timeline, Master Ancient One has not left yet and is still guarding the Earth as the Supreme Sorcerer. Captain America and Master Ancient One told us that Ultron can only exert his strongest strength in his universe. If he comes to other parallel universes, his strength will be greatly weakened. The Kingdom of Light, King of Ultra said to Ace, tell those kids not to worry. Even if that robot discovers the existence of the multiverse, without a powerful energy source to support it, it will never be able to cross the gaps between the multiverses, even if it is exhausted. The old man has traveled to the multiverse many times, and he is very clear about the gaps between the multiverses. It's just relying on external forces to force its way into the threshold of a single universe. It's okay for it to act arrogantly in its own universe, but if it really wants to cross the multiverse, the gaps between the multiverses alone will be enough to exhaust it. And his power comes from 6 gems. Those 6 stones can most likely only work in its universe. Without that universe, they are just 6 treasures of relatively ordinary power. By then, Zofie will be able to defeat it. Ultraman Ace, everyone, the king just told me that it is impossible for that robot to cross the multiverse. For Ultraman Ace, that robot can reach the level of a single universe only with the power of the 6 infinity gems. When it leaves its universe, the power of the Infinity Gems will be greatly weakened, and it will not have the power to cross the gaps between the multiverses at all. 1. Well, it seems that I don't have to worry about being suddenly beaten by Ultron while eating hot pot and singing songs one day. Strange. Don't worry. 1. Our current expenses are not enough for us to eat hot pot. After confirming that the infinite Ultron could not threaten them for the time being, everyone was relieved. Everyone's eyes were cast on the strange looking machine that appeared in front of everyone. The machine was very simple, with only a pull rod and a screen. Drawing card machine, Unit 01. Consume 30 points to pull the pull rod once, and then you can draw a prize from the multiverse. The reward levels are divided into 6 levels: white, green, blue, purple, orange, and red. Is this machine dangerous? No, at most you may draw some junk. Then, in the heavens and the worlds, can you draw anything? Yes. What about the Infinity Stones? That's okay. After the voice fell, Magneto's breathing suddenly deepened a little. Magneto had long been jealous of the terrifying power shown by the Infinite Ultron before. If you have that level of power, why should you be afraid of humans? Exclamation mark. If you build a real mutant country, wouldn't it be easy for mutants to become the masters of the world? Thinking of this, Magneto took the first step and became the first warrior to try it out. Audience, Eric Lansha points. 30 number of draws. 1. Do you want to draw? Draw. A hint of madness flashed in Magneto's eyes. Please pull the lever. Magneto pulled the lever fiercely, and the others also stared at Magneto intently. A huge turntable appeared on the screen, with various colors on it. After spinning for about 20 seconds, the color of the turntable gradually turned green. Get card, electric shock, skill card, use. You will learn the skill electric shock. Electric shock, release electric currents of varying power to attack the enemy, and can also be used to generate electricity. Releasing electric shocks requires magic, mana, true energy or mental power. Magneto retreated with an ugly face. Black Hand. This thing only slightly enhanced his strength. Why not give it to Charles? Magneto suddenly had this idea in his mind. That guy doesn't have any offensive means. If someone gets close to him, he won't know how he died. Can this card be given to others? Yes, just let him hold the card and recite it silently, then it's a happy decision. I don't lack strength, so I'll give it to him for self-defense. As for Ultron's strength, everyone is more speculative. After all, the Infinity Stone set by Marvel can only be used in the universe where it was born, but later it was directly used. Combat power is ultimately for the service of the plot. Chapter 9 Bumblebee, Spear of Eternity, Melee Mage. Magneto went down with the skill card of Electric Shock. The others were also very curious about the card Magneto had drawn, but seeing Magneto's face, it was estimated that he had not drawn anything good. Bruce Wayne thought about it and walked over. Audience, Bruce Wayne points. 30 number of draws. 1. Do you want to draw? Draw. Bruce Wayne pulled the lever, and a shorter light flashed than before, and a white card popped out. Card, Healing Potion, Item card, use, materialize a bottle of healing potion into a real item. Item description, a common supply item in the game. After drinking it, it can quickly restore lost health points, plus 50 HP. Is this a game prop? Bruce is a generalist who knows everything, and is proficient in everything. It's not like he hasn't played games before, so he has a certain understanding of the existence of things like blood bottles. If it can be mass produced, it will be a very good supply. Bruce Wayne thought. Okay, let me do it. Tony Stark walked over and pulled the lever. A flash of light passed, and a blue card was spit out. Card, Bumblebee. Follow card, use, summon a 100% loyal follower. Introduction. There are silicon-based creatures on Cybertron. They are divided into 2 factions, the Decepticons who are keen on destruction and the Autobots who protect living things. The Decepticons are the Decepticons. Bumblebee is an Autobot of the Autobots, who can switch back and forth between human and car forms, and is equipped with weapons such as energy cannons. Am I going toe to toe with these guys? Tony's mouth twitched, and he put the card away. However, this seems to be an alien creature. Thinking of this, Tony Stark turned his gaze to Hikaru, and after thinking for a while, He asked, "Excuse me? Do you know Cybertron?" "Cybertron? A planet? I haven't heard of it." "Ultraman Ace, I haven't heard of this planet called Cybertron either. Maybe there will be some relevant information in the library. I will help you find it later." Strange looked at Hikaru and made a gesture of invitation. Hikaru nodded, stepped forward and pulled the lever. Wow. Golden legend. The dazzling golden light illuminated half of the theater, and the exaggerated special effects sound attracted everyone's attention. "What's going on? It looks like I've drawn something incredible." Prop card, Eternal Spear Quinguni. Use, manifest an Eternal Spear Quinguni. Introduction. The Eternal Spear Quinguni was originally a branch of the World Tree. Later, it was picked by Odin, the god king of Asgard, and made into a peerless artifact by dwarf craftsmen. Quinguni means penetration, so once this spear is aimed at the target and thrown out, it will definitely penetrate the target. Quinguni is extremely powerful. When it is thrown, it is like a meteor streaking through the sky. It is also called the meteor spear. At the same time, as long as you make a wish to Quinguni, the wish will definitely come true. So there is also a legend of making a wish to a meteor. Hikari looked at the card in his hand and asked, "How to materialize this card?" "Just recite it silently." The next second, a golden javelin appeared in Hikari's hand. "What is this?" Strange looked at the javelin, and the hair on his body stood up. "The Eternal Spear Quinguni." "What? This is impossible." In the Avengers building, Thor widened his eyes. He is one of the few people in the world who is most familiar with Quinguni. That is the Spear of Eternity, the artifact of his father, King Odin. This spear is the king's weapon and the symbol of Asgard's kingship. And as long as it is thrown, it will hit the target. It never misses. It can also penetrate anything it hits. Even if it is a god, it will die if it is hit head on. This spear is undoubtedly the strongest artifact of Asgard, and it is even regarded as the symbol of Odin's kingship to a certain extent. Thor's brain crashed a little after hearing what Hikaru said. "Calm down, son of Odin." Master Gui said lightly, "The things given by this system come from the multiverse. The multiverse is far beyond our imagination. This is very likely a Gungney from another multiverse." After hearing what Master Gui said, Thor calmed down a little, and then he was sure that this gun was indeed different from his father's Spear of Eternity. His father's Spear of Eternity is more like a spear used on the battlefield, while the Spear of Eternity in Hikaru's hand is more like a javelin. Panics over trivial matters are not what a king should do. In the screening room, Hikaru looked at the Eternal Spear in his hand, and countless thoughts flashed through his mind. This thing is a bit similar to the Ultra Javelin. In the Kingdom of Light, Jack looked at the spear in Hikaru's hand and couldn't help but feel itchy. He is an instructor at the Ultra Dojo and also the instructor of the Grandmaster Ultra Spear. The invincible Ultra Bracelet in his hand has the ability to transform into unparalleled powers. And the weapon he is most familiar with is the Ultra Spear. Among all the people, only Strange did not draw a card. Strange was the last one to walk over and pulled the lever. Card, Advanced Mage Swordsmanship Mastery, Skill, Use, makes you proficient in a large number of mage swordsmanship. Introduction, a wizard who can't fight in close combat is not a good Gandalf. An excellent wizard should have a long sword in his left hand and a staff in his right hand, ride a warhorse to conquer the world, maximum out bloodthirstiness, great strength, and horsemanship, and for spells, just click on a holy light spell to be a light. When you learn this skill card, you are one step closer to a real wizard. Strange. Wizards should fight in close combat? What kind of a Hook 8 setting is this? Question mark question mark question mark. Although the wizards of Kamataj also have many close combat methods, such as the sacred sword of Vishanti and the arcane weapons used by wizard apprentices. But after reaching Strange's level, various powerful magics are still the main means of attack. However, holding the idea that it's all in hand anyway, it's a waste not to spend it. Strange still learned this skill. It seems a bit interesting. Strange recalled the swordsmanship in his mind. He felt that at this moment, he seemed to have become a swordsmanship master who had practiced swordsmanship for decades. At this moment, Strange couldn't wait to show off his newly learned swordsmanship. The 5 people had drawn their own rewards, but they were still very interested in this mysterious screening room. By the way, Tony Stark, Have you thought about how to deal with Ultron in your world? Strange suppressed his excitement and asked. I will clean up Ultron's data again after I go back. Although he was still the confident and arrogant Tony Stark in his heart, as Iron Man, he had already realized that he wanted to be a hero. For the sake of his own face and other things, he would ignore the lives of the people and even create a demon who destroyed the universe. Such a thing, Tony Stark would never do it. That's good. Strange breathed a sigh of relief. Do I look like a megalomaniac in your eyes? Not like you are. Strange said lightly. In a sense, we are actually the same kind of people. While Tony Stark and Strange were on the line, Bruce Wayne found Hickory. Mr. Hickory, I still want to know something about your universe, about the period of your hometown, the Kingdom of Light. Of course, no problem, Hickory said to the man in front of him. In fact, a long time ago, we people of the Kingdom of Light looked similar to you people on Earth. Later, our star was about to go out. Just like that, a world with only Magneto injured was born. Chapter 10 Dynamics of the Universes. Avengers Building. Everyone finally breathed a sigh of relief when they saw Tony Stark being teleported back intact. Welcome back, Tony. Captain America walked over. Okay, Captain, let me go check out my lab. Tony Stark looked at the lab that had become a ruin, and his mouth twitched. Well, it looks like I can consider changing to a new lab. Tony Stark shrugged nonchalantly, looking at the only person he didn't know in this place. It looks like you are that Ancient One. Tony Stark. Ancient One nodded and said, originally I shouldn't have gotten involved, because my intervention would only make the future more uncertain, but Ancient One's tone also revealed a hint of helplessness at this moment. The appearance of that screening room has completely messed up the future of this world, so I came. Okay, I'll go and clean up Ultron's data first. Tony Stark quickly walked into his own lab, which should be called a ruin. After a long time. Okay, the data is cleaned up. Tony Stark wiped the sweat off his head. I have repeatedly cleaned up all the data networks. Ultron can't survive anyway, Tony said confidently. Well, then, what should we do with the Mind Scepter? Looking at the Mind Scepter, everyone was a little worried for a while. When they knew the great power contained in the Mind Scepter, they no longer dared to treat the Mind Scepter as an ordinary alien weapon. Everyone, if you really can't think of a good way, you can let me take the Mind Scepter to Kamataj for safekeeping. Master Ancient One said lightly. No, this is SHIELD. Well, anyway, this extremely powerful weapon should be kept by professionals like us. Nick Fury walked over with a dark face and said, I can't let these things fall into the hands of the people. Are you sure you can keep it? The question was not asked by Ancient One, but by Thor. You know, we just snatched it back. Nick Fury's face became even darker. Speaking of which, why don't we try to destroy it completely and solve this problem once and for all? Batcave. Master, I'm so glad you're okay. Seeing Bruce Wayne return safely, Alfred, the loyal old butler, the butler man in the eyes of DC fans, a man who is like the father of Batman Bruce Wayne, finally put his mind at ease. Alfred, I think we need to make more preparations. Bruce Wayne had a serious expression on his face. He had a brief chat with Hickory. It was obvious that this world was much more dangerous than he expected. The Kingdom of Light, countless aliens, the great emperor of the universe, Emperor Zod, and the ultimate life form Rebrand. We can't just focus on the ground, we have to keep up with the defense of outer space. Help me acquire the world's top company related to aviation satellites. The Kingdom of Light. Welcome back, Hickory. When Hickory returned, Zoffy, who had arrived a long time ago, greeted him. Long time no see, Zoffy. Two Ultramen with multiple star medals in the Kingdom of Light completed the Ultra handshake ceremony. Where is the king? The king has left. We don't know what he is doing, Zoffy said helplessly. The King of Ultra, the legendary Superman in the Kingdom of Light, has his legend spread all over the universe. His existence is like the Ultraman among Ultramen. For his existence, the people in the Kingdom of Light cannot predict it. The king is the king after all. We can't put everything on the king, but we have to protect our world through our efforts and hands. Zoffy said, although the king has said that it is unlikely that the crazy robot will cross the multiverse to come to our universe, just in case, Hickory, I hope you can still serve as the director of the Science and Technology Bureau again to develop preventive measures. Hickory heard this and was silent for a moment and said, Zoffy, the development of preventive measures, just leave it to me. But the director of the Science and Technology Bureau, I still want to hand over to another person. Who? Tregear. X-Men Universe. Well, this trip was really crazy. Charles looked at Eric Lanshaw, who had returned, went up to him and gave him a hug and said, welcome back, Eric. Okay, Charles, I just went somewhere else. Don't make me look like I'm dead. Although he said this, Magneto still accepted Professor X's hug honestly. TSK. Wolverine on the side smacked his lips, feeling disgusted. By the way, how long are you two going to hug each other? Wolverine interrupted the two of them, and then Professor X looked at Logan and said, Mr. Logan, I now formally invite you to come to our academy with us again. After all, this is no longer a personal matter. If that crazy robot-like guy really travels to our world, we must gather all our strength to prepare for it. Wolverine recalled the figure who was like a god or demon. Even though he had walked on the line of life and death countless times and had more than 100 years of life experience, Wolverine still felt a chill. Okay. Wolverine replied unhappily. Twist Waste City Temple. So, what do you think? Juan looked at Strange and asked. I don't know either. Strange said with a wry smile. Now things have far exceeded our expectations. Even the Eye of Agamotto can't see these things. The future is now in chaos. All we can do is try our best to protect this world. As for what the future will be like, I can't see anything now. Besides, Strange looked into the distance and said, there is a bigger problem. What? There is a guest on Earth who is not very peaceful. After saying that, Strange came to the living room and walked around. In the distance, a young man with an evil face suddenly had a halo under his feet, and the next second he fell into it and disappeared. Loki? The other burly man next to him was Thor, the god of thunder in this world. You'd better not do any tricks, Loki. Thor carefully picked up the note on the ground, which had the address of the temple written on it. If this is your prank, I must beat you up. Everyone, please give your opinions and speak in the book review area. If you post more book reviews, I will add more. I will do what I say. Chapter 11. Thor Goes Wild. After finally dealing with the Mind Scepter, Thor wanted to rush back to Asgard to discuss countermeasures with his father. But the Ancient One stopped him. Honestly, son of Odin. The Ancient One opened a portal and said, you are not as good as your naughty brother in some ways. After that, he took Thor to a nursing home in Twisted City. Thor looked inside with a puzzled look on his face. Soon, his expression changed from incredible to shocked to confused and panicked. Father. Thor took 2 steps at a time and rushed directly to an old man in the nursing home. The old man was playing chess with another old man, and it was obvious that he was about to lose. The other old man looked at Thor, then at the old man, and said, even if your son is a drama actor, don't think about regretting your move today. No, 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 how could I regret it? After saying that, the old man stood up, turned around and left. Someone came to see me, so today's game doesn't count. The old man who was playing chess nodded, but suddenly felt something was wrong. Father, why are you here? Thor asked anxiously, and the Avengers on the other side of the portal also leaned over. Is that Thor's father, the legendary Odin, the king of the 9 realms? If the legend is correct, then it should be him. X-Men Universe. Looking at the huge castle in front of him, Wolverine suddenly felt like Leo entering the Grandview Garden. Calm down, Logan. You can be their grandfather. Don't panic. Just because these guys are damn rich. Stay calm. Wolverine walked in with a look of disdain. Damn, that guy seems to be able to read minds. He can't hear my voice. Wolverine couldn't help but look at Charles. Then Charles smiled at him politely. Damn. He seems to have heard it. What should we do? Should we strike first? Kingdom of Light. The discussion on the position of the director of the Science and Technology Bureau has come to a temporary end. Compared with the position of the director, there are still more things for everyone to do. Jack, how do you feel? Brother 7. Jack held the Eternal Spear and wielded a set of Ultraman gun skills. This strongest artifact in the 9 realms, combined with Jack's identity as a weapon master, successfully achieved the effect of 1 + 1 greater than 2. This gun is very powerful, but it is not suitable for me. Jack said, I can clearly feel that this gun has its own instinctive consciousness. In this regard, I have experience. That's right, Weapon Master Jack has rich experience in dealing with his own weapons. In Jack Ultraman TV, there was a scene where the Ultra Bracelet was controlled by the enemy and then attacked Jack in return. I think this weapon might be more willing to be used by Hikaru. Jack said while holding the Eternal Spear, this weapon has a certain consciousness of its own. If Hikaru hadn't allowed me to use it, I'm afraid it would be difficult for me to even use it, and there is even a risk of being hurt by it. Jack's expression was very serious. After all, he had experience in being hit by weapons. Space Guard. Captain Zoffy was arranging personnel to face the invasion of powerful enemies from the multiverse that Ken would encounter in the future. Brother Zoffy. 2 other figures in red cloaks came over. Ultraman. 7. Zoffy nodded when he saw them coming. If we arrange it according to this situation, we won't have enough manpower. You mean the Earth, right? Looking at the brother in front of him who doted on the Earthlings too much, Zoffy said calmly, don't worry, I have sent an Ultraman there. Who? Edie, Ultraman Eddie. The kid who got angry with you back then? Believe me, he is now an excellent warrior. In the Science and Technology Bureau, Hikari was arranging the overall manpower. After learning about the multiple unknown enemies, the alert level of the entire Kingdom of Light rose again. Although this universe has the ultimate trump card of the King of Ultra, both Hikari and other Ultramen understand one thing. Unless it is really a last resort and there is no way back, the King of Ultra will not take action. The King of Ultra is like a trump card, the last safety device. The King of Ultra will not take action unless there is a huge crisis threatening the universe. Just like Ultraman will not interfere with the development of other civilizations, the King of Ultra will only take action when the Kingdom of Light is facing a catastrophe. In the laboratory of the Science and Technology Bureau, Tregear looked at the data in front of him attentively, but there was still a trace of gloom between his brows. Tregear, it seems that you are still worried. Hikari walked to Tregear's side, looked at this young man he was very optimistic about, and asked, is it still because of the Space Guard? Captain Hikari. Tregear shook his head and said, I'm fine, don't worry. Hikari looked at Tregear and shook his head helplessly. I'm not that stupid boy Taro, you are almost writing my worries on your face. Marvel Earth. Our Lord God King Odin is directing the construction of a statue. This statue is used to commemorate my brave and fearless son, Loki. You must build it well, and also, listening to the nagging of His Majesty the God King, the craftsman on the side did not complain at all. You know, recently their God King may have changed his temperament because his wife and son just died. First, he replaced the diligent guardian Heimdall with a guy who only knows how to brag all day long, and then he began to indulge in opera and completely ignored government affairs. At this moment, the 3 warriors of Asgard and Mizsif were gathered together to discuss the God King Odin who was becoming more and more abnormal recently. At this time, a blonde strong man holding a hammer rushed in. Thor, I have something to tell you. I already know. After saying that, Thor led the hammer and walked into the palace. Oh, Thor, my. Before God King Odin finished speaking, Thor hit him with the hammer on his chest. Loki. Thor roared in a low voice, and his vicious eyes wished that he could tear the person in front of him into pieces. Listen, I know Loki's death is a big blow to you, and I'm also very sad, so I built a statue for him here, you see. God King Odin pointed to the unfinished statue and said, the people of Asgard will never forget him, I promise. Thor took a deep breath and said, listen, I give you 5 seconds, change back to me immediately, otherwise. Thor threw the hammer away and said, you should know that nothing can stop my hammer from flying back to my hand. Are you crazy? You will be executed for killing the king. Then let's meet in the underworld, Helheim, brother. Looking at the Thor's hammer that was about to fly back, God King Odin finally couldn't hold on and decisively lifted the illusion. It was Loki. Okay, give me a chance to explain. Loki raised his hands in surrender. Suddenly, a circle of light appeared under his feet, and the next second Loki fell directly into it. Looking at the chaotic scene, Thor had no time to stabilize the situation. He said to Sif beside him, "I'll be back soon." Then he disappeared, leaving only 4 people disheveled in the wind. Chapter 12. New members in the screening room. Loki fell from the sky, and just when he looked up, he saw his father, the real god King Odin. "Okay, tell me, how are you going to punish me?" Loki's face was as hen, and he no longer had any hope for his future. Spending his whole life in the dungeon of Asgard was his best ending. "Loki, my child," Odin said kindly, "it seems that you at least manage Asgard well, don't you?" "Father." Loki didn't expect that Odin not only did not punish him, but also said that he managed Asgard well. "Loki." A loud shout sounded, and it was Thor who was full of anger. When Loki saw Thor, he took a quick step and hid behind Odin. Thor didn't tolerate him and rushed over directly. The 2 brothers chased and fled, and it seemed as if they had returned to more than 1,000 years ago. In the end, Loki was caught by Thor. "Do you know how sad I was at that time?" Thor's angry voice was accompanied by a trace of sadness and relief. "I really thought you were dead." Loki's eloquent tongue didn't know what to say for a while. "Okay, Thor." Odin waved his hand. "It's all in the past. I'm happy on Earth. Just treat it as a vacation, right?" Loki almost couldn't hold it back. If Thor beat him up now, Loki would feel a little better. If Odin sentenced him to imprisonment, exile, or even death now, Loki wouldn't have much emotional fluctuation. At most, he would think about how to escape. But facing the affection offensive of the 2, Loki couldn't resist it. What did he do all his life for? Isn't it just for his father's recognition and his brother's love? He was desperately playing pranks, just to attract other people's attention, just like a child. Although some pranks were really excessive, such as when he sneaked into Sif's room while she was asleep, and then cut Sif's beautiful blonde hair into short hair. Then he experienced a fatal beating. To be honest, in Norse mythology and Marvel, Loki is not a bad guy. The main thing is that he is just a bitch. On this side, the father is kind to the son, and the brother is friendly to the younger brother. On the other side, the Avengers began to look for the other 2 young men. "Nick, are you sure?" "Captain, although I'm no longer the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., you can't doubt my intelligence level," Nick Fury said to everyone. "Barton's injury has healed, and he will return to the team soon." The 2 young men appeared in Sokovia recently. "I think we should be able to find some clues if we go there." Looking at Tony Stark with a frown, Captain America walked over and patted him on the shoulder. "No matter what the future holds, we will always face it together. Just like what was shown in the theater before, we will lose together, Tony." "Thank you for your comfort, Captain." Tony Stark forced a smile. "There is still a long time before the next broadcast. Let's solve all the problems." By the way, Tony Stark took out a card. "I forgot about this card. This is the summon card of Bumblebee. X-Men Universe. X Academy." Wolverine smoked a cigar and watched a group of students undergoing training. "To be honest, I still think this kind of training is too childish," Wolverine said to Professor X beside him. "Believe it or not, if these young boys really go to the battlefield, facing artillery fire and bullets, they can still escape, which will be a great success. You have to have confidence in the students, Logan." Professor X smiled and said, "Besides, my goal is not to train batches of soldiers, but to enable them to control their abilities and then integrate into human social life. Charles, here comes a couple of parents who want to send their children to school." Beast Hank, wearing a white coat, walked over. "I'll be right there." Logan shrugged and put out his cigar. "Boy, that's not how you punch. Come on. I'll teach you how to punch." Logan walked over with a dangerous smile on his face. 7 days passed quickly. In the Avengers building, everyone surrounded Iron Man. "Guys, we really don't need to be so serious." Iron Man had a helpless expression on his face. The next second, Tony Stark disappeared from everyone's sight. "Welcome to the Infinite Screening Room. Here, the system will randomly play important events in a certain universe. During the screening, the system will randomly ask questions to people in the screening room, and those who answer correctly will get points. The live broadcast points can be used to order the past and future related to yourself. For this screening, the screening room has been updated, and everyone is welcome to actively participate in answering. The content of this update is: 1. Add a question and answer penalty mode. 2. Cancel the minimum points reward. 3. The card drawing machine has been greatly updated. 4. The person who answers the most questions correctly each time will receive an additional reward. 5. New viewers will be invited to join each live broadcast room. 6. The new facilities added to the screening room have greatly improved your viewing experience. 7. The strength suppression has been adjusted to a certain extent, and everyone can use certain abilities. The official version of the Infinite Screening Room is on air. Scarlet Witch and Wanda Maximoff joined the live broadcast room. Loki Odinson joins the screening room. Peter Parker joins the screening room. Are there new members? It seems that there are 2 familiar faces. Tony Stark saw 2 familiar figures among the 3 people, and his mouth twitched. What kind of luck is this? 3 new members, 2 of which are related to him. Loki. Thor looked at Loki, who was confused in the live broadcast, and rushed into Loki's room in disbelief. Very good, he is still there. Come on, what's wrong again? Loki's face was full of helplessness. Odin looked at Loki on the screen and smiled helplessly. Children and grandchildren have their own blessings. I'm old and can't take care of them anymore. After saying that, he sat down on the sofa next to him and drank tea with Master Ancient One. This tea is good, Master. I added honey. Maybe you can consider adding some wine next time. The wine called vodka on Earth is okay, and Mayotte is also okay. Perhaps, no matter which world they are in, the big guys are so calm. Hello everyone. Hikaru waved his hand and said, if nothing unexpected happens, your minds have been injected with information. Think about it carefully. It's you, a humble mortal. After sorting out his thoughts, Loki immediately found Tony Stark. Tony Stark frowned. Did I provoke you? Captain America, Tony, that Loki is not the Loki of our world. The Loki of our world was just pulled out by Thor by the neck. Tony Stark, that's the best. Loki, what do you mean? Mortal, explain it clearly. Wolverine, who is this guy? He keeps talking about mortals. He's so arrogant. I have to find an opportunity to give him a beating. Bruce Wayne, Loki, the legendary god of fire in Norse mythology, is also called the god of trickery, Odin's sworn brother, and the bringer of Ragnarok. Loki was quite happy to hear the first part of the story. This mortal was good and reasonable. But he felt something was wrong when he heard the latter part. What does Odin's sworn brother mean? If his father heard this, he would kill himself. Exclamation mark. Mortal, I'm Loki Odinson, the second prince of Asgard, the god of trickery. Submit to me. Loki had a very cool expression. If he didn't have so many broken marks on his body at this time, and looked like he had been beaten up, his words might really have a little credibility. What's going on here? A young man raised his hand weakly. Originally, I was going to write Phoenix in, but after thinking about it, the timeline didn't match. Phoenix would have at least 10 or 20 years. Although this is the X-Men in a parallel universe, the basic timeline still needs to be followed. Chapter 13, Choose C. Peter Parker was about to cry. He was just an ordinary high school student. How could he be dragged into this weird place? Moreover, there was the guy who claimed to be the god of trickery, Loki, and the one with blue skin who looked like he didn't look like an earthling. Oh my god. I won't be abducted by aliens. Child, come here. Bruce Wayne waved to Parker and said, the information of this place has been implanted in your mind. Think about it carefully. In another Avengers universe, Wanda and Vision were looking at the screen in front of them with shock. It has been almost 3 years since the Avengers Civil War. Wanda is still a wanted criminal, and Vision sneaked out from Tony through the mimicry function. I can't understand it. Vision said, the existence of this thing is beyond my understanding. I think so too. Wanda smiled bitterly, but there are acquaintances here. Wanda thought about it, and still sent a barrage in the live broadcast room. Wanda, Captain, I'm with Vision now. Captain America was stunned when he saw this comment. Does the new member named Wanda know me? Wanda and Vision were a little confused. Wanda, Captain, I'm Wanda. While everyone was still explaining, a voice sounded at this moment. Start playing Avengers 3. Tony Stark, Avengers? Is it our story? Bruce Wayne, I hope there won't be any Ultron this time. In the vast universe, a spaceship is flying. And soon, it met another huge spaceship. In the depths of the universe, the two spaceships met. The smaller spaceship seemed to have no weapons at all, and was desperately asking the other party not to attack. Our crew are all Asgardian civilians and refugees. This is not a warship. Please don't attack us. But the huge spaceship did not show any mercy at all, and directly attacked the Asgardian spaceship. The camera turned and moved the picture to the interior of the Asgard spaceship. There were flames and Asgardian corpses everywhere, which looked like a battlefield. Asgard's patron saint Heimdall was covered in wounds and lying on the ground, seemingly unable to move. A purple giant, holding Thor, who was covered in wounds and had only one eye left, walked in front of Loki and raised his left fist. On his gloved fist, a purple gem shone. Thanos smiled coldly, whether you are afraid or escaping, your fate will come, or in other words, I'm your fate. Seeing this scene, the entire screening room and live broadcast room became extremely quiet. After a long time, Loki reacted. What is going on? In the Avengers building, Odin, who was drinking tea with Ancient One, couldn't sit still. He naturally knew the purple giant. Thanos. Odin's voice was murderous. As the king of the Nine Realms, Odin has killed many people in his life. In his early years, Odin fought his way out of a sea of blood and corpses. Thor and Loki were also incredulous. What happened to my eyes? And my hair? Idiot, you are still thinking about your hair at this time. Odin looked at the picture on the screen. It was obvious that the spaceship was full of Asgardian refugees who came to escape. Odin was very sure that, even if he was about to die of old age, no one would dare to attack Asgard. Unless he died. Thinking of his own lifespan, Odin's face was filled with sorrow. Hela, his eldest daughter, and the Ragnarok. The video continues. Do you want your brother or the cosmic cube? Thanos asked calmly. I think you have made a decision. Loki said expressionlessly. Of course, kill him. Seeing this scene of brotherly love, everyone exploded. Peter Parker, Mr. Loki, isn't Thor your brother? Why? Loki, enough. That big fool is not my brother. Tony Stark, although you acted a bit like a jerk, from the overall perspective, your approach is actually right. Captain America, Loki, Thor from our world, asked me to pass on a message for him, saying that you did a great job. In the Avengers building, Thor excitedly hit Loki's chest twice. Well done, Loki. Thor laughed excitedly. Remember, if this really happens, don't hand over the cosmic cube, or run away with the cosmic cube. Do you hear me? Enough, you barbarian. Loki's hair was disheveled by Thor's shaking, and he would rather be beaten up by Thor than continue to experience this torture. What? Peter was puzzled. He couldn't understand what everyone was thinking. Kid, you don't understand the power of the Infinity Stones. Bruce smiled bitterly and explained the Infinity Stones to Peter. Destroy the universe? Just rely on 6 stones? The power of the Infinity Stones is far more than that. Strange said, if Thanos really snatches the 6 Infinity Stones, then he can easily enslave and control, or become the real master of this universe. Q&A begins. Question. What is Loki's final ending? A. Use the space power of the cosmic cube to escape. B. Use the cosmic cube to escape with Thor. C. Assassinate Thanos under the guise of offering treasures. D. Offer the cosmic cube, join Thanos' cult, and become a dog under Thanos. This quiz is a reward and punishment mode, facing all the people in the screening room and the live broadcast room. Correct answers will be rewarded with 10 points, wrong answers will be punished by drawing a pain card, and there is no penalty for abstention. The audience in the live broadcast room can become a member of the screening room after accumulating 100 points. Now, start answering. Please answer the answer in your mind, and you can modify it at any time within 1 minute. The questions are completed, and there are all kinds of people on the field. Peter, for example, had no idea how to answer. I give up. After a moment, Peter chose to give up. Loki's eyes flickered. According to his personality, A was the most likely choice. But Loki always felt uncomfortable leaving his silly brother alone. As for the remaining 2 choices, Loki didn't even think about it. 1 minute is over, and the answers will be announced now. Captain America, B. Tony Stark, B. Bruce Wayne, B. Alfred, B. Wolverine, A. Magneto, A. Strange, B. Wong, A. Ultraman Hickory, B. Ultraman. Ace, B. Wanda, give up. Peter Parker, give up. There are obviously 4 options, but they are made to be like judgment questions. Tony complained. The correct answer will be announced now. The correct answer is, see what? Chapter 14, Death of Loki. I was wrong. The whole team was wiped out. Everyone's expressions were quite interesting. The correct answer is C. Assassinate Thanos. Everyone looked at the two Lokis, and Loki's face turned blue and purple. Assassinate that terrifying titan? What did his parallel universe self think? The video continues. Hearing Loki's resolute answer, Thanos' face became serious, and then he raised his left hand and pressed the power gem on Thor's head. As soon as Thor touched the power gem, he immediately let out a shrill scream, as if he was suffering great pain. Listening to Thor's screams, seeing his appearance of being in agony, the muscles on Loki's face twitched slightly. In the end, he finally couldn't help but shouting, "Enough, stop." Thanos moved the power gem from Thor's head with a smile of victory. Thor took a breath and said reluctantly, "We don't have the cosmic cube. It was destroyed along with Asgard." "No, that's impossible." Loki in the screening room was stunned. Thor and Loki in the Avengers building were also stunned. Seeing this, Odin sighed. "Every family has its own problems, Your Majesty," the Ancient One said lightly. "Yes, every family has its own problems." Odin leaned back, and his face became extremely solemn. "If that day really comes, I hope you can help the children." The invincible God King who suppressed the 9 realms was like an old father who was worried about the future of his children. He rarely asked for help. "Your Majesty Odin, time has been completely disrupted." The Ancient One shook his head. "I can only guarantee that it will not go to destruction. There will always be a glimmer of hope." Hearing this, Odin looked at his old hands and clenched his fists. If it really doesn't work, then he will also fight to the death to help the children eliminate a strong enemy. The power of Odin in his body has become increasingly difficult to control. In other words, the power of Odin is getting stronger and stronger. Looking at Thor with a bloody face, Loki took out the cosmic cube that he brought out. "You are really the worst, brother," Thor said weakly. "We will be fine, I promise you, brother. You are really blindly optimistic, Asgardian." Loki raised his eyebrows. "First of all, I'm not an Asgardian, and secondly, we have Hulk." Thanos' pupils shrank, and he turned his head to look behind him. Just then, a green monster pounced from behind him and threw Thanos away. A set of Hulk's turtle punches directly stunned Thanos. Seeing this scene, cheers came from both the live broadcast room and the screening room. "Banner, my good brother." Thor rushed over and picked up Dr. Banner. "Well, actually you should thank Hulk." In the cinema, Loki felt a wave of pain again when he looked at the big green monster. He had just experienced a round-trip throw from Hulk to the sky and earth. But it was still very satisfying to watch this big monster beat others. Peter Parker, "It looks like they are safe." Bruce Wayne, "No, the previous answer was that Loki went to assassinate Thanos. You know, now, Loki, is that even worth thinking about? It must be me who subdued the big green monster in the future, so it was said that I assassinated Thanos." Peter Parker, "Can that green giant win? They look about the same size." Tony Stark, "Boy, you don't know, if you are not from our universe. That is the strongest Avenger among us, the Hulk." At this moment, the film began to change. Although the Hulk temporarily gained the upper hand by relying on sneak attacks, he was quickly suppressed by Thanos. Under Thanos' fist as heavy as a mountain, the Hulk soon fell to the ground with blood all over his face. At this time, Thor picked up an iron pipe and attacked Thanos from behind. But he was immediately knocked down by Thanos and imprisoned by Ebony Maw with superpowers. At this nearly desperate moment, the seriously injured Heimdall used his last strength to activate the Rainbow Bridge and teleported the Hulk away. The field was quiet again. "Well, it seems that I still need to save Asgard." Loki took a deep breath and said, "I'm sorry, I don't want to hit you. Bruce Wayne said, obviously, after the Hulk took action. I don't think your assassination can have a better effect. Enough, mortal. What do you know? Seeing the Hulk being teleported away, Thanos took a warblade from General Corvus Glaive, walked to Heimdall, and said coldly, you shouldn't do that. Then Thanos raised the warblade and pierced Heimdall's chest. Seeing this, the imprisoned Thor screamed miserably, no. In the Avengers building, seeing Heimdall being killed, Thor could no longer suppress his emotions. Damn purple potato spirit. I, Thor Odinson, the god of thunder, swear here that I must smash your head with my Thor's hammer. Loki on the side didn't say much, but he also clenched his dagger in his hand. Loki himself didn't have any good feelings for Heimdall. Or, for Loki, there are only a few people in the whole Asgard who are worthy of his care. But this definitely includes his stupid brother Thor. After seeing Thor's miserable condition, Loki was already furious. After seeing Heimdall's death, Loki couldn't believe what Thor would experience next. In the spaceship, looking at the Infinity Gauntlet on his left hand, Thanos said, there are 2 more Infinity Stones on Earth. Find them, my children, and bring them back to me. The 5 Black Orders knelt down and received the order. At this time, Loki suddenly came out from the side and said, if you want to go to Earth, it's best to bring a guide. I have some experience with that place. Thanos sneered, you are talking about the experience of failure. Loki shrugged, failure is the mother of success. Then Loki's expression turned serious, looking at Thanos and said, I, Loki, the Prince of Asgard, the son of Odin, the Orthodox King of Jotunheim, the god of trickery, I surrender to you. But while he was speaking, the imprisoned Thor could clearly see that Loki was using magic to transform a dagger in his left hand. Never able until death. As soon as Loki finished speaking, he suddenly raised the dagger hidden in his left hand and stabbed Thanos' throat. But Thanos just raised the Infinity Gauntlet, and the light of the Space Stone enveloped Loki's left hand, imprisoning him in place. You will never betray me until death. Thanos grabbed Loki's right hand and sneered, you should be more careful with your words. Throwing away the dagger in Loki's hand, Thanos grabbed Loki's neck with his hand wearing the Infinity Gauntlet and lifted him into the air. Although Loki struggled desperately, he could not escape Thanos' grasp at all. You will never become a god. Loki only had time to say this sentence before a crack sounded from his neck and he was strangled to death by Thanos. No. Thor hugged Loki aside. Loki, why are you so stupid? Wouldn't it be better if you could just run away with the cosmic cube? Just like before. Why did you make a fool of yourself at the most critical moment? Enough. I want to be strangled to death by you. A blush appeared on Loki's evil face, which was not common for a frost giant. Thor didn't care about that. He hugged Loki and cried with snot and tears. For Thor today, life is actually full of ups and downs. He thought his brother who was dead came back to life, and then he was told that his brother died in front of him again, and this time it seemed that he really died. Who can accept this? Thor, this rougher man, couldn't help it anymore. He hugged Loki and was so excited. In the screening room, Loki looked at the screen and saw himself bleeding from all 7 orifices and limp. The scene shocked his heart and even made him feel unreal. At this moment, he was dazed, even stupid, and his brain almost short-circuited. I died? Died to save Thor? The two Lokis are still too confusing. After writing the American TV series Loki, I will send the Loki in the live broadcast room away. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15 Loki's Determination. Peter Parker, Mr. Loki is really amazing. Uncle Ben often tells me that with great power comes great responsibility. If you encounter someone who needs help, you should step forward without hesitation. Peter Parker, I don't really understand it at ordinary times, but seeing Mr. Loki's actions today really taught me a good lesson. Loki Odinson, enough, Kit, shut up and don't judge me randomly. Captain America, Loki, the relationship between you and Thor really touched me. Captain America and several other people looked at the Loki who died on the screen with his eyes wide open, and they were all in awe. although the Loki next to him was still alive. Seeing the Loki who gave his life to save Thor, Captain America still had a new evaluation of this opponent in his heart. Thanos threw Loki's body in front of Thor and said coldly, "There will be no resurrection this time." After that, Thanos raised the power gem on the Infinity Gauntlet on his left hand, and a purple light shone, sweeping the entire spaceship. Then, the interior of the spaceship began to gradually fall apart. Thanos used the Space Stone to open the portal, and led the Black Order to disappear into the portal. Thor broke free from his restraints, and climbed onto Loki's body, his face full of sorrow and pain. With a loud bang, the entire spaceship shattered into countless fragments. Questioning begins. This question is a quick answer. 30 points will be awarded for correct answers, and a nightmare card will be drawn for incorrect answers. Question: did Loki survive with Thor? A. Loki and Thor both survived. B. Only Loki survived. C. Only Thor survived. D. No one survived. Looking at the 4 answers, Thor shouted without hesitation, "I choose A. Both of us are fine. If it doesn't work, B is also okay. You idiot." Loki took this opportunity to finally break free from the arms of brotherly love. "You are not in this at all. How do you want to answer?" Thor remembered that this answer seemed to be only answered by people in the live broadcast room and the screening room. Captain America: "I choose A." Tony Stark: "Captain." Wolverine: "Boy, you are a little impulsive. That is the explosion of an entire spaceship." Magneto: "In my opinion, you should choose D. You damn mortal." In the live broadcast room, Loki was angry, and the magic light on his hand flashed, and a pair of magic daggers were transformed. Humph. Magneto looked at it, and immediately disdained it. "Are you kidding? Using metal to deal with him?" Magneto waved his hand, and the dagger was aimed at Loki in the opposite direction. But at this moment, Loki changed from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, and 4 to 8. It was Loki's best illusion technique. Loki was serious now. Faced with such a strange ability, Magneto was also a little confused, but he didn't care. He directly manipulated all the metal pieces on his body to turn into a metal barrier, and manipulated the dagger to stab Loki. Looking at the screening room, that turned into a martial arts show in an instant. Hikari was considering whether to go up and persuade them to stop fighting. With his strength, it was very easy to stop the 2 brothers. At this moment, Loki had already sneaked up to Magneto. The metal piece that Magneto used for defense was just like a folded A4 paper in Loki's eyes. Loki punched Magneto several meters away, and at this moment, a stupid boy rushed over. "Wait a minute, don't fight." Peter Parker on the side had already rushed over. "Get out of the way." Loki, who was furious, punched Parker in the face. This was not the usual bully punch, but an angry punch from a frost giant who could withstand Hulk's round-trip throw, fight Captain America in close combat, and even have the upper hand. Such a terrifying punch was blocked by a person. "Calm down, don't hurt innocent people." Hikari released Loki's fist and grabbed the invisible clone that Loki wanted to use for a sneak attack. Doctor Strange on the other side also showed the basic qualities of a wizard. The wind of Watum dispelled the clone, and the ring of Gal Gadot on his hand lit up, posing a fighting posture. Captain America's answer is wrong, and he is punished with a nightmare card. At this time, the voice of the screening room came late. In the Avengers building, Captain America's face suddenly became ugly when he heard this, and the Asgard father and son trio looked even uglier. After all, will someone still die? At this moment, the atmosphere was a little heavy. Not only did Captain America get a nightmare card for his wrong answer, moreover, this said something. At least one of Thor and Loki must die. Or even. Odin shuddered and dared not think about it anymore. Thor clenched Thor's hammer tightly. Even in extreme anger, he did not have the power of Thor's hammer, and he inspired a ray of lightning by himself. He swore that he must fly to the universe and smash that bastard's head with his Thor's hammer. In the screening room, the tense atmosphere still did not reconcile. Bruce Wayne: "I choose C. Thor lives and Loki dies." Bruce Wayne answered correctly and was awarded 30 points. Hearing this, Loki seemed to be a deflated doll and collapsed on the sofa. Chain question and answer started. The target of this question and answer is irrelevant personnel. Loki, Avengers, temporarily joined the live broadcast room. Thor, Avengers, temporarily joined the live broadcast room. Question: why did Loki launch a suicide attack on Thanos? Hint: Loki would never give up his life unwisely. He has his own reasons and reasons for his actions. A. Loki wanted to die, so he committed suicide with the help of Thanos. B. Loki felt that he was good again, and planned to assassinate Thanos. C. In order to save Thor, Loki wanted to die with Thanos. D. Loki knew that Thanos killed only half of the people. If he died, Thor's chance of survival would increase. E. Loki planned to use Thanos' hand to fake his death and escape. If you answer correctly, you will get a random item. If you fail, you will get a random punishment. 3 people, 5 answers. Hickory looked at Loki in front of him, and the 2 people who joined temporarily, and let go of Loki who was caught by him. Thor: nonsense. How could my brother commit suicide? This option is completely nonsense. Strange. However, you have to admit that the knife that Loki stabbed at Thanos at the end really looked a bit self-destructive. Thor: what do you know? A true warrior will charge forward without hesitation, even if he knows he will die. Wolverine: I have seen many people on the battlefield. Some of them are just like Loki before they commit suicide. Thor: damn it. If you stand in front of me, I will beat you up. Fuck you, Peter Parker. Everyone, please stop arguing. But to be honest, what does option D mean? Why don't I understand it? Strange. Thanos kills people, but only kills half. Tony Stark: I don't understand this either. Can Bambi explain it? Loki froze. As a former and temporary subordinate of Thanos, he still has a certain understanding of the Mad Titan's behavior and weird and crazy ideas. Odin's expression froze. As a wise man of the 9 realms, he certainly knows what the Mad Titan did. Loki: silly boy. Odin stood up, walked to Loki, and shook his head. Loki: you are a good boy. I was too strict with you before. Father. Loki turned his head away. His tsundere nature did not allow him to cry in front of everyone. Loki: screening room. I choose D. In the screening room, Loki seemed to have used up his last bit of strength. At this time, the live broadcast room also began to tell some stories. Chapter 16: Everyone collapsed. And a tip from Wanda. Once upon a time, there was a planet called Titan. The technology there was highly developed, and the population was large. But the large population also brought about the problem of shortage of environmental resources. So, at this time, a Titan named Thanos stood up and proposed an idea, that is to wipe out half of the population without distinction. Of course, his idea was not successfully implemented on Titan. So, Titan was destroyed. After witnessing the destruction of his home, Thanos was determined to save the universe. So he formed his own forces and went around the universe to carry out what he thought was a salvation. That is, kill half and keep half. And his goal is to get 6 infinity gems. Once he gets 6 infinity gems, he can easily wipe out half of the population of the universe. Wipe out half of the population of the universe without distinction. So easy that he only needs to snap his fingers. Just like this, gently, snap, the population of the universe will be reduced by half. The information revealed in the live broadcast room was like a thunderclap, shocking all the viewers. How could such a thing happen in the world? That bastard, is he a lunatic? Of course he is. I thought he collected the 6 infinity stones just to conquer the universe, but this is even crazier than conquering the universe. Tony Stark, this Thanos is really a lunatic. How could an ordinary person think of doing such a thing? Strange. The most terrifying thing is that this lunatic thinks he is a savior, and that what he does is to save the entire universe. Peter Parker, I never thought there is such a terrifying lunatic in the universe. Ultraman Ace, this behavior is unforgivable. If I meet him, I will let him see whether he is stubborn or the Ultraman guillotine of the light saw is sharp. Bruce Wayne, so, your world is facing such a terrifying threat all the time. Bruce Wayne, the greatest hero of the DC universe, the father-level existence of DC, was also frightened and sweating at this moment. If this happened in his universe, it would be difficult for him to prevent it. The universe is too big, and he can't supervise the entire universe at all. Think about it, if Alfred was destroyed by a snap of fingers in front of him. Bruce shuddered, and he didn't dare to think about it anymore. Then, it's understandable what the answer is. Hickory looked at Loki, who was collapsed on the sofa, and said, in that case, if Thanos must kill people, only one of you and your brother can survive. Obviously, you choose to use your life to exchange for your brother's life. Loki, you sacrificed your life to protect your loved ones. You are a hero. After Hickory's voice fell, the other people, including Tony Stark, had no intention of refutation. Indeed, Loki invaded the Earth and almost killed Tony Stark. But one thing is one thing, but seeing Loki sacrificing himself to save Thor, Tony was still deeply touched. In order to save his brother, he even sacrificed his life. Tony sighed softly, with a little more respect in his tone. I can't imagine such a thing. As an only child, Tony was sent to boarding school by his father when he was very young. Therefore, he actually lacked the affection for his parents and brothers. Because of this, Tony was the one who was most affected by Loki's actions. The field fell into silence. I choose D. Loki in the screening room gritted his teeth and said this answer. He is very tired now, and this incident has stimulated him too much. Correct answer. Reward bloodline ability enhancement awakening. At this moment, Loki's blood vessels burst out one by one, and then lit up with blue light. Ah! Loki screamed madly, and bursts of energy fluctuations burst out from his body. Even under this powerful energy fluctuation, the temperature of the entire screening room dropped. HU. Peter Parker, who was just an ordinary middle school student at the moment, was the first to be unable to bear such a low temperature, and began to sneeze immediately. The light particles in Hickory's hand surged, turning into a barrier to cover Parker. Seeing this, the other people also chose to enter the light barrier. Thank you, sir. Parker looked at the outside world that was freezing madly and shuddered subconsciously. If he, or an ordinary person, directly entered that environment, he would probably be frozen into an ice stick. It's just a piece of cake. Hickory looked outside and said, the temperature outside is probably -100 degrees. Can you do this just by relying on the side effects of your own blood awakening? Bruce Wayne looked outside and began to think about what he should do if he faced such an enemy who could easily reduce the surrounding environment to -100 degrees. When Loki raised his head again, his eyes had turned into a dazzling scarlet color like a ruby. Loki's face at this moment turned dark blue, and endless ice power was raging. And while Loki's blood awakened, the show continued. When the Hulk was teleported away by Heimdall with all his strength, the refugee spaceships in Asgard exploded, and the Hulk was teleported to the Mage Temple in Twisted City on Earth. At this moment, the Supreme Mage Strange and his assistant Wong were worrying about today's lunch. Mr. Strange, are all you mages poor? Peter Parker asked curiously. This. Strange looked embarrassed. In addition to the contributions and donations from believers, the income of Arcamitage is only a few places like private museums that charge admission tickets. It takes a lot of money to maintain the maintenance of the temple, so we have to cut expenses again and again in other places. After all, not everyone can use the tens of millions of battle armor as fireworks. Tony laughed when he heard this. Sorry, being rich is so willful. Suddenly, a rainbow bridge fell from the sky, and the figure inside was Dr. Banner, who had recovered from Hulk mode. Thanos is coming. Avengers 3. Thanos is coming. This is the end. 10 minutes of rest, followed by random on-demand activities. Poof! Suddenly, whether it was the live broadcast room or the screening room, there were bursts of vomiting blood. Will you die if you keep updating? Too infuriating. Wanda, this is the end? Question mark? Wanda, at least tell us what happens next. 1. This is not the first time. Last time, it only played half of the Infinite Ultron Destruction Century. Wanda, Ultron. Wanda and Vision snuggled together, but when they saw the name, they were suddenly shocked. Ultron. This is a name that is very familiar to them. Wanda once tried to unite with Ultron to destroy the Avengers. Vision was born because of Ultron. Before this, Vision had already explained to Wanda what the multiverse is. Thinking of this, Wanda immediately asked in the live broadcast room, Wanda, Captain, in your world, has Ultron been born? Question mark? Captain America, no, when Ultron was just a bunch of data, we saw what that crazy robot was going to do in the future, so we destroyed him. Wanda, Captain, actually, you and Stark have a bigger problem. Captain America, what? In the Avengers building, everyone saw Wanda's words and reacted quickly. It seems that this girl, like Strange, comes from our future. Black Widow said, and compared to Strange, Wanda is closer to us. Wanda, your biggest trouble now is me and my brother. Chapter 17 Play Rocky. Wanda, Stark, have you ever thought about it? Why did both of us superpowers disappear in the fortress of Sokovia? Why was it so smooth for you to seize the Mind Staff? Seeing the message sent by Wanda, Tony seemed to be enlightened. Tony Stark, you mean, you did all this on purpose? Question mark? Wanda, that's right. Wanda, my superpower can manipulate people's hearts. At that time, I saw the fear in your heart. You were afraid of the powerful alien enemies, so you wanted to become stronger and build more and stronger mechas. Wanda, so I chose to leave the Mind Staff to you at that time, because I knew that you would definitely not be able to resist studying the Mind Staff. Otherwise, with Pyrrhot's ability, it would be no problem for the two of us to leave with the Mind Staff. Wanda, the Mind Staff has incredible power, one of which is that it can continuously influence and expand the thoughts and the hearts of humans. Wanda, and I also know that even without the influence of the Mind Staff, you would still study it, right? Tony Stark was silent, and after a moment he spoke. Tony Stark, Wanda, you are absolutely right. Tony Stark, but I still want to know why you and your brother are against me. Wanda was silent. Vision was holding Wanda, silently comforting her. On this side, Wanda didn't say anything, and Tony could only worry. I have never seen Wanda and her siblings before, so it can't be that I did something wrong when I was a playboy before. Thinking of this, Tony tensed up. He knew very well what he was like before. He was a big horse, and he changed women on a monthly or even daily basis. If you think about it carefully, it's not impossible. Tony is now in his 30s and almost 40, and the two children he saw before look like they are only in their early 20s. In addition, Westerners mature early, so it is not impossible that the two children are only 16 or 17. Thinking of this, Tony Stark asked tentatively, is it because of your family? Wanda still didn't respond, and only said it on the barrage after a long time. Wanda, yes. Tony's heart sank. Damn, this might really be the sin he committed when he was young. Tony Stark, kids, where are you now? Wanda, I'm with Vision now. If it was your time, I should be with Pyrrhot in an ancient castle in Sokovia. Tony Stark, I see. How are you doing now? Wanda, I'm with my lover now. Tony Stark raised his eyebrows. You know, Tony has subconsciously put on the role of an old father at this moment. Although he is not ready to be a father yet, all fathers in the world generally look down on their daughters' partners. Just when Wanda and Tony were chatting about the front door and the hip axis, the picture in the theater began to change again. Start random on demand now. On demand label, future. On demand object, Loki audience, and start playing Loki in 3 minutes. Loki, who was still in the little blue man state and was gradually trying to control the terrifying frost power in his body, subconsciously raised his head when he heard this voice. My future? Loki gradually stabilized his breathing and looked at the big screen with scarlet pupils. A devastated city with flames and traces of destruction everywhere, showing that a war had just occurred here. This is Twisting Waste City, Strange said, and this war-torn city, it's Loki's invasion. Tony Stark looked at Loki not far away and frowned. Tony's words made the others look at Loki one after another, and Loki sneered disdainfully. He has gradually controlled the energy in his body. According to Loki's own estimation, when he fully controls this power, even his stupid brother can't be his opponent. In a building, a man in combat uniform and holding a star-shaped shield is talking to someone with a serious face. I will command the search and rescue. Just by the road where Captain America walked, Loki's hands were handcuffed, and he seemed to have become a prisoner. Captain America went to command the rescue, and as a defeated war criminal, Loki was taken away by Thor and others. Tony and Thor took Loki into the hall, and a group of agents in black suits suddenly came over, and then they had an argument with Tony and others because of the cosmic cube and Loki. During the argument, the arc reactor on Tony Stark's chest suddenly malfunctioned, and he fell to the ground, and the box used to hold the cosmic cube also fell to the ground. Everyone was busy rescuing Tony Stark, and for a while no one paid attention to the box used to hold the cosmic cube. At this moment, something strange happened. Although no one moved the box, it slid by itself, and was then picked up by a man, dressed as a security guard. The man picked up the box. He walked towards the corridor, but he didn't expect the Hulk to suddenly rush out from the door and hit both the man and the box, and send them flying. Hulk, I want to take the elevator. I won't let Hulk take it. Hulk, I'm angry. Hulk left angrily and scared away a group of onlookers. Avengers building. Dr. Banner covered his face and whispered, it was Hulk who was in control of the body at that time. I really don't know. No, this is completely different from what happened in our universe. The box fell to the ground and opened, and a strange blue cube fell out of it. That's the cosmic cube. Seeing the blue cube, everyone in the live broadcast room paid attention. The cosmic cube fell right at Loki's feet. Loki bent down and picked up the cube, then activated the portal to teleport himself out. Bruce Wayne, what are the security guards around Loki doing? Are they in a daze? Ultraman Hickory, even if they are security guards from our Science and Technology Bureau, they shouldn't be like this. 1. I think even if the gatekeeper named Stanley outside the museum came, he wouldn't fail to notice such obvious movements. Alfred, this is too fake. Question mark? Wanda, Stark, is this how you guarded a space invader and the Infinity Stones? Tony Stark, no, Kit, after listening to the explanation, I can swear that when I handed over Loki and transported the cosmic cube, I definitely didn't have a reactor short circuit or anything like that. Ultraman Ace, it should be because of the difference in the parallel universe. Also, I'm hesitant about the security level of the Science and Technology Bureau. Captain America, the story on this video, should have happened to Loki in the screening room. In the screening room, Loki, whose blood awakening ability enhancement was coming to an end, looked at the picture above with interest. The video continues. Through the space portal, Loki fell into a desert. Loki looked at the confused herdsmen in front of him and stood up decisively to promote his greatness to them. It was this scene that made me want to laugh the more I watched it. The world of Wanda and Vision. Wanda looked at Loki, who was embarrassed, but still pretending to be awesome, and couldn't help laughing out loud. I just realized, now that free channels can also make money, and now I have successfully earned 0.01 yuan. Crying and laughing, I may write one more chapter on the weekend, and I will start to update it when I recover from my illness. Chapter 18 Public Execution. Wanda, this guy, I'm dying of laughter. Wanda, he is obviously in a worse state than those passers-by, yet he is still pretending to be awesome. Loki, you little brat. Loki snorted heavily, and violent cold air swept everywhere. Tony and others' eyelids jumped at this scene. It must be said that after this blood awakening, Loki's own strength has reached a very scary level. Loki did not control his power on Earth at all. He did not even need to do anything. Just breathing could affect the climate of the entire Earth, and finally even plunge the Earth into an ice age. Tony even felt a little lucky when he thought of this. It was thanks to Loki, who was not from his own world, that he obtained such terrible power. However, since Loki has such a terrible power in his body, how about making an anti-Loki armor? The show continued. Loki had just started preaching when another portal suddenly opened in front of him, and several fully armed men walked out of it. It looks like a violation of the standard time sequence. A black woman walked out of the portal, holding a device. She looked at Loki and said, "The time offender has been confirmed. On behalf of the Time Variance Administration, I arrest you for violating the sacred timeline. Put your hands up and follow us." Loki laughed in anger. "I've had enough of fully armed idiots pointing fingers at me, so this is my last warning to you. Get out of my way." Seeing Loki rushing towards her, the black woman raised her special weapon and hit him without saying a word. Bang! Loki was hit hard. His cheeks turned into a weird posture in the air, and the whole person was actually in a state of slow motion in a movie. Hiss. Looking at his miserable state, Loki's cheeks suddenly subconsciously felt a little pain. However, his strength was not even enough to resist that guy. Loki thought of this and looked at his hands again. No, if I encounter this again, I will freeze them into popsicles immediately. But something even more shocking happened. That is, Loki was the only one who slowed down. You are now at 1/16 speed. The black woman took out a collar and slowly put it on Loki's neck, but the pain is the actual length. The time around Loki suddenly returned to normal, and he seemed to be in too much pain, and his whole body collapsed in the desert, unable to even stand up. What's going on? Time. These guys control the power of time. Strange said, if it were me, at most I would just slow down or pause Loki, and let Loki himself be at 1/16 speed, but the pain he felt would be the original length. Even if I could do this, it would take a long time to prepare, and it would definitely not be so easy. And this is still based on the premise of the time stone. These guys actually control the power of time so stably. Hearing Strange's words, the others also realized the seriousness of the problem. You know, this is just a grassroots employee, or a small pawn. Even a small soldier can control the power of time. Everyone is not stupid, and soon realized what a terrible organization this time management bureau is. Reset the timeline. Several soldiers of the time management bureau held Loki up. The black woman bent down to pick up the cosmic cube, and someone else placed a strange device on the ground. Then, the effects caused by Loki were eliminated. Master, what is this? Time reversal? It's really as they said. Bruce Wayne looked at Strange and asked. Although whether it was time reversal or resetting the timeline, it was a bit too terrifying for everyone present. I don't know, I can't tell it just by looking at it with my eyes, but I can say for sure that they definitely use the power of time. Loki's face was full of astonishment, and he was carried by two soldiers into the portal. Then, they entered a different space, which looked a bit like the front desk of a certain company. At this time, a man was pushed and pulled in by another soldier. My father is on the board of directors of Goldman Sachs. As long as I make a phone call, your job will be over. Loki looked around and seemed to have found an opportunity, so he ran away immediately, and the black woman next to him didn't even chase him. After watching Loki run away, she reached out and took out a small device and pressed a button. Swish. Loki was teleported back to the original place in an instant. He looked back in astonishment and wanted to continue to escape. The black woman showed a mocking smile on her face and pressed the button again. Swish. Loki was teleported back again. This is also the power of time. It's that collar. Strange said, it may be the power of space, but any soldier has the power to manipulate time and space, which is indeed a bit scary. The most terrifying thing is that we don't even know the existence of the other party now. Yes, the unknown is the most terrifying. Thinking that there might be such a time management bureau in my own time, and even that I might be judged as a time criminal and taken away at any time. This feeling is really terrible. Our world is really full of disasters. Tony couldn't help but say, first, there is a madman who wants to wipe out half of the life in the universe with a snap of his fingers, and then you tell me that there is actually a time management bureau in this world. I don't think I will be surprised by what will happen next. Finally, Loki gave up struggling and was pushed into an elevator by the other party. There is a strange robot installed in the elevator with 4 mechanical claws and a small screen in the position of its face. Seeing the robot's claws reaching towards his body, Loki opened it with one hand. Don't even think about it. This is top grade Asgard leather. The robot screen showed a very sad expression, raised the flashlight on the other mechanical claw, and pointed it at Loki. Stand still. Before Loki could react, a strange light shot out from the flashlight, causing all his clothes to disintegrate. Loki cursed out loud when he saw this scene. Fuck. His previous performance was embarrassing enough, but what was even more embarrassing was that the scene of him being stripped naked was broadcast live. It was a public execution. Next, Loki was forced to change into a prison uniform. He also signed a lot of documents and finally entered a waiting hall. As soon as Loki walked into the hall, the soldier next to him reminded him, "Please take a ticket." Ticket? There are only 2 of us here. The soldier's tone suddenly became solemn. "Please take a ticket." Loki gritted his teeth, walked to the ticket machine with an unhappy look on his face, and took out a ticket. At this moment, Loki finally couldn't help it, and his emotions broke out. Chapter 19, The Power of the Time Administration. This is a mistake. I shouldn't be here. Just then, a strange voice sounded in the hall. Hello, you may think this is a mistake. I shouldn't be here. What? Loki turned his head and saw that several screens on the wall of the hall began to play pictures at the same time. A round cartoon character smiled and said on the screen, "Welcome to the Time Variance Administration. I'm Miss Time. My duty is to make you understand something before you are judged." An endless sea of stars appeared on the screen, and then a flash of lightning penetrated all the chaos. A long time ago, there was a multiverse war. Multiverse. In the Avengers building, Ancient One and Odin stopped drinking tea at the same time. The stronger the strength, the more you know how small you are. The stronger the strength, the more you know, the more afraid you are. Why is it said that newborn calves are not afraid of tigers? Because calves don't know what tigers are at all, and they don't have enough concept of death. Just like the author, when he was a child, he stuffed gunpowder into a glass bottle to make homemade firecrackers. Looking back now, I was really lucky. Now, let alone setting off firecrackers, I don't even dare to play with small fireworks. Why? I'm afraid of getting burned. Ancient One and Odin are the ceiling of the father level. While they are powerful, they also have a clearer understanding of the stronger. When they heard about the multiverse war, their eyelids jumped. A war involving the entire multiverse. What level of existence can participate? For the two father levels, it would be like throwing two pebbles into the sea. No, I'm afraid they can't even splash water. This is a vision and understanding brought by strength. In that multiverse war, countless timelines competed with each other for hegemony and almost destroyed everything. Just then, the omniscient and omnipotent Time Guardian appeared. They merged the multiverse into one timeline, thus restoring peace. This is the sacred timeline. Now the Time Guardian maintains everything in this world and ensures the normal flow of time, but sometimes, there will be people like you who deviate from the path set by the Time Guardian. These people are time offenders. If time violations are not dealt with in time, chaos will occur, and even another multiverse war will eventually occur. In order to avoid this situation, the Time Guardians founded the Time Administration. They will be responsible for intervening and fixing errors. Reset time to the predetermined path. And because of your behavior of messing up the timeline, you must accept punishment for your crime. So please take your ticket, and we will arrange a judge for you. Unify the timeline. This is not possible. Master Guyi's years of self-cultivation finally broke through at this moment. Fortunately, many years of self-cultivation were not given in vain, and Master Guyi finally held on. And Odin beside her was just a little bit away from death. Odin took a few deep breaths and swallowed the tea in his hand. The two were in another room, so there was no need to worry about making a fool of themselves without the younger generation watching. Odin picked up the teapot and took a few gulps, then said, "Unification, timeline." Odin looked at the Ancient One, whose facial muscles were twitching, and asked, "Supreme Sorcerer, you are an expert in the field of time. Is this really possible?" "It's possible." The Ancient One took out another teapot from somewhere else and filled it for himself and Odin, then said, "We have lost our composure. Since this infinite screening room can play stories from the multiverse, why can't there be an organization that unifies the timeline? In front of a strong man at the level of the multiverse, what's the difference between the two of us and mortals and ants? Yes, I'm old and confused." Odin calmed down at this moment. Fortunately, the younger generation is not here, otherwise it would be a big embarrassment. At this moment, the scene continued. After listening to this, Loki also said that the amount of information was a bit overwhelming. After a moment of shock, he finally reacted and sneered, "Holy timeline? Guardian of time. Do you think I will believe your nonsense?" When Loki was disdainful of what Miss Time said and was about to refute, the son of Goldman Sachs in front of him started to make trouble. "You stinky soldier, how dare you yell at me? You." Son of Goldman Sachs hadn't finished speaking when the guard raised his weapon and mercilessly pointed it at him. Oh wow wow wow. Accompanied by a strange cry. The whole body of the son of Goldman Sachs was like a spark, burning in the air, without even a speck of dust left. Looking at this horrifying scene in front of him, Loki was so scared that his face turned pale, and he was in a panic. Then, as if he came to his senses, he desperately searched all his pockets, and finally found the ticket in one of his pockets. After a long sigh, Loki quickly raised his red ticket above his head, fearing that the guard next to him would not see it. Seeing this scene, the atmosphere finally eased a little. Wonder, so the legendary Norse god of trickster is so cowardly. Hickory, don't be so harsh, that's called follow the heart. Bruce Wayne, Mr. Hickory, do you know Chinese? Isn't the Chinese word for cowardly a from on top and a heart on the bottom? Magneto, ha, god of trickster, that's it? Loki, although I'm not very good at that, I don't even need to do anything if I want to freeze you to death. Bruce Wayne, jokes aside, what is the principle of that weapon? Tony Stark, it might be a high temperature laser or something like that. No, that's not right. If it's a high temperature laser, the son of Goldman Sachs would have no chance to react. Wolverine, anyway, this thing is quite weird. Such a big person can be gone just like that. Wolverine, wizard, is this witchcraft or something like that? Wang, first of all, we are wizards, and secondly, I don't know what magic can achieve such an effect. Strange, Sith's exile can play a similar role, but no matter how you look at it, that thing is more like a technological weapon. Avengers building. Master, what do you think? Personally, I'm more inclined to believe that it is a technological weapon. Ancient One said, my understanding of technology is relatively superficial, but I still have some ability to distinguish. I can't see the specific principle. If I study it, maybe I can. I'm more inclined to believe that it is technology. Odin said, the technology of the Shire Empire can even allow them to fight against the gods. For a powerful organization that can unify the timeline, it is nothing to develop that kind of technology. Explain why the update is so late today. Originally, I would finish the update at night and update it the next morning on the scheduled chapter. As a result, my father dragged me to the construction site to shovel sand for 4 or 5 hours last night, from 7 to 12 in the morning. I went to bed at 2 in the morning and got up at 11 this morning. So there is no update. By the way, it rained here and the temperature went straight down to 0. When I woke up, it was winter. Happy winter solstice, everyone. Chapter 20 Loki learns the truth. Loki was escorted by the black woman into a courtroom. A black female judge on the high seat asked, Loki Lawfeson, time offender L1130, also known as Loki Lawfeson, you are accused of violating the time sequence. What is your defense? Hearing the other party calling him Loki Lawfeson instead of Loki Odinson, Loki's face gradually became a little gloomy. Although the previous things made him extremely angry, at least he had not touched his bottom line, but this sentence of Lawfeson had completely angered Loki. Loki's life experience was definitely the thing that Loki was most unwilling to face. After living for more than 1,000 years, he suddenly knew that he was not his father's biological child, but was picked up. It would be fine, but he was actually a prisoner of war picked up from the enemy. Who can stand this? Especially Loki was not very welcome in Asgard, which made it easy for Loki to connect his past experiences with his life experience and bloodline. He faced with the questioning of the black female judge. Loki once again showed his signature arrogant smile. Gods will not plead guilty. This absurd play is very interesting, but I have to go home. The black female judge shook her head and asked impatiently, Sir, are you guilty or not guilty? Loki sneered. As the god of trickery, I'm guilty. Feeling all this boring and tedious, I'm guilty. But violating the sacred timeline? I'm not guilty. You have arrested the wrong person. The black female judge asked curiously. Oh, really? Then who should we catch? The Avengers, of course. Loki answered without hesitation. I can get the cosmic cube. It's all because of their time travel. Believe me, you can even smell the cologne on the two Starks in the same timeline. You are looking for time criminals. They are the time criminals. If you can give me an army and enough resources, I can go back and destroy them all. What? We traveled through time. What the hell is going on? Following Loki's words, everyone was stunned. Don't look at me. According to my research, time travel should be impossible. Tony stroked his beard and said, at least, I have no idea about time travel. And, let me say again, I never use cologne. Facing Loki's question, the female judge said calmly, we are not talking about the Avengers now. What they did should happen, but your escape is not. Huh. Loki frowned and then sneered, who stipulates what should happen? Or shouldn't? Of course it's the Time Guardians. The black female judge seemed to be a little impatient. Oh, the Time Guardians. Loki made an exaggerated expression of surprise. Maybe I should have a conversation with these Time Guardians, between gods and gods. Sorry, the Time Guardians are very busy. The black female judge finally lost her patience. How are you going to defend yourself? Loki's eyes darkened, and he opened his hands to both sides. If I'm guilty, it is because I did this. As soon as he finished speaking, he clenched his hands into fists. Then, nothing happened. The black female guard standing behind showed a mocking smile on her face. What is he doing? The female judge asked in confusion. Madam, he is trying to use his magic. The black female guard replied, while holding back her laughter. Wait, all of you be quiet, don't force me. Loki's face was full of disbelief, and he tried his best to mobilize his strength, clenching his fists repeatedly. Finally, he gave up and slapped the judge's seat in front of him fiercely. Damn it. Why doesn't it work? Magical power can't be used in the time administration. The female judge looked at Loki coldly and pronounced, this court finds you guilty and sentences you to reset. Reset? What does that mean? Hearing this ominous verdict, Loki's face showed panic. But the other guards had already rushed up and pulled him down. Thinking of the son of Goldman Sachs who had just turned to ashes, Loki went berserk. You stupid guys, you have no right to decide my ending. Friendly reminder in the screening room, the ending has two meanings. No, what does this mean? The more Loki looked at it, the more he felt something was wrong. Soon, he understood. In our timeline, you were directly teleported back to Asgard. Tony Stark looked at Loki and suddenly understood something. It's the same in my timeline. Although I didn't participate in the Battle of Twisted Waste City, after becoming the Sorcerer Supreme, I know a lot about that battle. And if I'm not mistaken, the so-called sacred timeline is a script planned by the Time Administration. Strange said, with drops of cold sweat on his forehead. He had an even more terrifying idea in his mind, but he didn't dare to say it. Bruce seemed to understand something at this moment. If it's really as you said, then this Time Administration is a real criminal gang. Hickory nodded and said, I agree. Trampling on the freedom of others, and controlling the lives of others under various excuses. What kind of justice is this? Magneto, no, what are they talking about? How did it get involved with freedom and justice again? Wolverine, how do I know? It's really hard to talk to smart people. Can't you just say it directly? Wanda, I always feel like I understand something, but I don't understand it thoroughly. Alfred, the screening room personally came out to hint at the ending. Haven't you guessed it yet? That is to say, even if you traveled through time to grab the Infinity Stones, it was still right, and I just took the Space Stone, just because I didn't want to go back to jail, just because I wanted to escape. Then I became that shitty time criminal. What you did was right, and I was wrong. Why? Loki's eyes, which had turned scarlet due to the awakening of his bloodline, now directly revealed a substantial red light, and the boundless cold air erupted again, and the temperature was lower than before. Arsehole. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. If it weren't for the protection of Hikaru's light particle barrier, there would have been several more ice sculptures here. Avengers building. Loki here listened to the words of the people in the screening room, and his heart seemed to gradually understand something. Shit. The green magic fluctuations on Loki's body kept lighting up, as if he had discovered an extremely terrifying secret. Loki? Thor looked at Loki in confusion. Thor didn't understand a word of what the Riddler said, but he knew that Loki definitely understood something. Because he and Loki have been together for more than 1,500 years, and he has never seen Loki so angry. Even the only time he won an argument with Loki in the past 1,500 years, he never saw Loki so angry. I have to go to work again tomorrow. I'm so annoyed. It is still so cold. Chapter 21 Setting. Script. Shit. Stay away from me. Loki raised his hand and sent out a magical wave that made Thor stagger. Loki, calm down. Thor ignored Loki's magic energy and squeezed to Loki's side, hugging Loki tightly. No matter what, you are my brother. If those guys from the Time Management Bureau dare to catch you, I will use my Thor's hammer to smash their brains into paste. Don't worry, I'm here. Loki was stunned at this moment and then shouted, "Shut up. You big fool don't know anything at all." Loki. Odin walked out of another room. He knew that according to Thor's emotional intelligence, that could be compared with Taro, his youngest son would probably turn evil again if they continued to talk. Is this the fixed emotional intelligence of the prince's profession? Father. Don't worry, when this screening room appeared, everything was disrupted, wasn't it? Odin's kind voice calmed Loki's chaotic heart and made him gradually calm down. The timeline has become a mess now. Ancient One came out. If our world has a time management bureau, they should have rushed out long ago, but they didn't. I discussed with His Majesty Odin the possibility of managing the timeline of the entire multiverse. If it is one or several timelines, it is indeed possible, but an entire timeline? Too difficult. The Time Management Bureau may be in charge of several different timelines, but it cannot manage the entire multiverse. Otherwise, all this today would not have happened. Young man, please help pass on the message. Captain America nodded and sent Ancient One's words to the live broadcast room. Captain America, everyone, Master Ancient One said that the Time Management Bureau cannot control the timeline of the entire multiverse. Captain America, otherwise, Loki in our world would have been kidnapped long ago. Captain America, according to Master Ancient One, the Time Management Bureau may control several timelines, but it is impossible to manage the entire multiverse. Seeing Captain America's words, Loki's breath in the screening room gradually stabilized. On the screen, the picture continued. Do you know what I can do? Loki roared. I think I know what he can do. A middle-aged man stood up from the audience in the courtroom. He walked up to the female judge and quickly convinced her. The middle-aged man took Loki out of the courtroom and came to the corridor. Although he had escaped with his life, Loki was still full of complaints. As he walked, he said, "Damn it, one day I will burn this damn place to ashes." The middle-aged man chuckled and said, "Let me tell you where my desk is. You can start burning from there." Loki was unhappy when he heard this and was about to retort, but his attention was suddenly attracted by the scenery outside the corridor. Outside the corridor, it seemed to be a huge high-tech future city. Loki was surprised. "I thought you said there was no magic here." "There is indeed no magic here," the middle-aged man answered casually. This is not true." Loki looked at the eyes and tried to deny everything in front of him instinctively. "Unfortunately, these are all true, just like my paperwork." The middle-aged man shook his head and said self-deprecatingly. Loki seemed to have not recovered yet, muttering in a trance. "This place is a nightmare. Nightmare." The middle-aged man said, "That's another department. If you want, I can help you burn it down." Oh my god. Everyone was stunned when they saw the huge and boundless high-tech city. So, this Time Management Bureau is so huge. An organization that can supervise timelines, even if there are only a few, can't be small. In the elevator, the middle-aged man introduced himself to Loki and said that he was Agent Mobius. Loki asked him curiously, "How long have you been here?" Agent Mobius spread his hands. "I don't know. It's hard to say. Inside the time administration, the speed of time flow is not the same as in the outside world." "What does that mean?" Faced with Loki's question, Agent Mobius just replied, "You'll understand." After leaving the elevator, Loki finally couldn't suppress his irritability and asked angrily, "So you are the most diligent and brave agent in the time administration?" Mobius simply responded, "Yes. And you were created by the Guardian of Time?" "Yes. To protect the sacred timeline." "That's right." Hearing this, Loki finally stopped and laughed sarcastically. "Ha ha ha." Mobius calmly asked back, "Is it funny?" Loki responded coldly, "Your little broken place dominates the fate of countless people in the world. And the supreme rulers are three inexplicable space lizards. Yeah. This is really too funny. It's ridiculous." Listening to Loki's sharp words, Mobius didn't show any emotion, just said, "I thought you didn't want to talk." Faced with such an opponent, Loki's lip sparring was like hitting cotton, and he could only sigh helplessly. The two entered a room and saw that there was only a table in the room and a ball-like machine on the table. As soon as he entered the room, Loki's expression became very ugly. "To be honest, you don't want to bring me here to execute me." Mobius reached out to adjust the ball and replied, "You don't trust others very much, right?" Loki's tone was cold. "Only children and dogs trust others. In this world, there is only one person who is trustworthy. Is it you? This is a good idea. I think it should be printed on a t-shirt." Mobius laughed. "If the Time Administration has been monitoring all timelines, then why have I never heard of you? Because there is no need. You have always lived in the path we set for you." Mobius replied. Loki immediately raised his voice. "I will live in whichever path I want to live in." Mobius did not continue to refute him this time, but simply said, "Oh, of course. Please sit down." At this moment, no matter how stupid the others were, they could understand. Everyone knew why Loki had gone so crazy before. It turned out that, in their opinion, all this was set. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 20 To This Damn Brotherhood. Magneto. Predetermined. Wolverine. Damn. Bruce Wayne. All the tragedies, happiness, and joy in my life are scripts that have been predestined by others. This is really a kind of sadness. Ace, Yuko, Peter Parker. So that's how it is. No wonder Mr. Loki is so angry. Captain America, don't panic. Didn't the Ancient One say that the other party only has the ability to supervise a few timelines? And our situation has confirmed that the other party does not have the ability to detect our timeline. Although that's what I said when I think about the fact that the lives of all people in the world have long been predestined by the three mysterious, omnipresent, and above all time guardians. Even if they really deviate from the path set by the Time Guardians due to some accidents, the mysterious Space-Time Administration will immediately send people to intervene. Label them as time criminals. This kind of thing is simply horrifying. What's the difference between such a life and a program set in a computer? In the small room, Loki watched Mobius adjusting the sphere and suddenly felt that there was an opportunity, so he began to approach him quickly. However, Mobius was not an ordinary person. Without saying a word, he raised the remote control in his hand and pressed it. With a swish, Loki's time was reset, and he returned to the starting point helplessly. Mobius said calmly, "I told you that the flow of time and the Time Variation Administration is different from that outside." Mobius and Loki sat on both sides of a table, looking at Loki with a face full of resistance. Mobius opened a can of soda. "I'm good at hunting down those dangerous time criminals. For example, me?" Loki asked coldly. Mobius took a sip of the drink and shook his head. "No, those particularly dangerous time criminals. And you?" He glanced at Loki and shook his head slightly. "You are just a little kitten." "What?" In the screening room, Loki felt a surge of anger. Because of the previous script setting theory, Loki realized that his failed life might be caused by the actions of the bastards in the video. Loki was already full of anger. And now, this human dared to look down on him like this. Even if he is a criminal, Loki should be the most dangerous and terrifying one. "I have some questions for you. If you can answer honestly, maybe I can give you what you want. You want to get out of here, right?" Seeing Loki tilt his head, Mobius smiled approvingly. "Very good, let's get started. If you can go back to the original timeline, what would you like to do?" Loki pondered for a moment and replied, "Finish what I should have done." Mobius raised his eyebrows. "Specifically?" Loki replied proudly, "Of course, to establish my throne." "Oh, you want to be the king?" "I don't want to be the king. I was born a king," Loki said firmly. "Yeah, I know, but where do you want to be the king?" Withstanding Mobius's questioning, Loki finally gave the answer. "Midgard, that is, Midgard, Earth." "Okay, if you are the king of the Earth now, then what's next?" Mobius put on a posture of breaking the casserole to get to the bottom of it. Loki showed his signature evil smile on his face. Next is of course Asgard, and then all the 9 realms. Seeing this, although everyone didn't want to provoke Loki, who was on the verge of going berserk, they couldn't help but look at him. Feeling the gazes of the crowd, Loki stopped. Enough. I do think so. So what? Loki roared, with a hint of grievance in his voice. I have always been told that I was born to be a king, but everyone thinks that the throne should belong to that stupid big guy Thor. I'm never worse than him. Never. Loki's roar was accompanied by the cold wind, forming layer after layer of frost. Loki soon realized his loss of composure, and he tried his best to control his emotions. Avengers Tower. Ancient One helped the Asgardian father and son open up a quiet subspace for them to solve their family problems. Loki, I really didn't know you thought that way. Thor looked at Loki with a complicated expression and said, I really didn't know. Enough. Loki, who was gradually calming down, looked at Thor and said, what does it matter? No one has ever cared about me, or loved me anyway. Everyone's eyes are on you. You are the god of thunder, the future god king of Asgard, and I'm just an orphan of a frost giant. I even killed my blood father. I'm just a poor ghost in the dust. You are high above, you are brilliant, and I can only live in the shadow under your light. No one loves me, no one has considered my feelings. What about Frigga? Doesn't she love you and care about you? Odin's sudden words stunned Loki. Seeing his 2 silent sons, Odin sighed. Loki. Thor put his arm around Loki's shoulders and said, isn't it just a throne? I don't want it. Father, I now officially declare that I give up my right to inherit the throne. And I fully support Loki to inherit the throne. Facts have proved that when Loki was managing Asgard, he managed Asgard very well. Odin smiled helplessly. Silly child. First of all, you didn't understand what your brother wanted, and secondly, Loki. Forget it, at least he is better at managing than you. Enough. Loki pushed Thor away, but didn't push. You don't know what I want. Then what do you want? Thor got even more excited when he heard it. Say it out. I can find it for you, even if I search the 9 realms. You stupid brother. What's wrong with me? You are just a warrior with only missiles in your head. How can I have it? It has been like this for 1,500 years. You have always been full of muscles and your hammer. Do you want my hammer? I can give it to you, but you can't lift it. No. Vomiting blood. JPG. Odin looked at the 2 brothers who started to quarrel again, and his face showed a smile called happiness. If I don't die, perhaps such a happy life can continue. Brothers live in Bangbu. In a group, the brothers in the north sent a bunch of photos of snow to greet the group members in the south, while the group members in the south said that they were still eating popsicles and wearing short skirts. And I was stuck in a place that was neither south nor north, and I was freezing to death without snow. Why? The provincial capital is so close to us, but the snow there reaches a whole step back, while here when it rains the ground is not only slippery but also freezing. Chapter 23. Loki's embarrassing style. In the end, this brotherly dispute ended with Loki's complete victory. After all, Thor had never won an argument with Loki for 1,500 years. Well, it seems that he won once. Outside, the scene would not stop because of the Asgardian father and son. After a heated discussion, Loki and Mobius finally entered a state of tension. Ha ha ha. Loki laughed softly. So, the Time Guardian built a big circus. He looked at Mobius. And you clowns are playing your roles perfectly here. Mobius did not get angry, but laughed instead. You are really a guy who likes metaphors. I like it very much. It sounds very smart. Looking at the slippery old man in front of him, Loki frowned slightly, and then said with a proud face, I'm very smart. Okay. Mobius shook his head, and reached out to start the bull machine in front of him. The machine projected a projection onto the space in front of them, forming a screen. In the screening room, everyone looked at the scene in front of them, and suddenly felt a strange sense of disharmony in their hearts. We are now watching Loki watching the live broadcast. After saying this tongue twister like sentence, Bruce Wayne showed a bitter smile on his face. Wolverine, then what are we? Watching you watching Loki's live broadcast in the live broadcast room. Ultraman Ace, on Earth. This behavior seems to be called nesting dolls. Mobius's machine projected a scene of twisting Waste City in the air. Loki asked coldly, "What is this?" "A sample of important moments in your life." Mobius reached out and pressed the button on the machine. The picture instantly changed from New York City to a group of men and women, holding weapons and pointing them at the camera. And on the other side of the camera was the embarrassed Loki, looking at the familiar Avengers on the screen in front of him. Loki closed his eyes and showed a trace of embarrassment on his face. On the projection, Loki, who was covered in wounds, said with an embarrassed look, "If possible, I want to drink that glass of wine." In the screening room, Loki stared at the Matryoshka live on the screen in amazement, and for a moment he had the urge to vomit blood. Is this a mistake? Why am I being publicly executed again? It's not over yet. Loki couldn't hold it back at this moment, no matter how thick his skin was. Counting the previous time, when he was stripped naked, this was the second time he was publicly executed. There won't be a third time. It shouldn't be. Hulk's round trip warning point JPG. This Mobius should be trying to control Loki through some psychological means. Strange suddenly said, he wants to suppress Loki's confidence and arrogance. First, trample him into the dust, and then control him. Although I'm a neurologist, I also have some understanding of this simple psychological trick. Bruce Wayne also said, yes, this is PUS. PUA stands for Pickup Artist, Mental Suppression. This was originally just a means for men to pick up, but later it was widely used in various behaviors. In the workplace, there are endless examples of superiors suppressing subordinates and bosses suppressing employees. In the hands of some criminals, it can be used to control some ordinary people with weak willpower. But, Mr. Loki doesn't look like a person with weak willpower. Parker suddenly said weakly. I just feel it instinctively. When he found that everyone's eyes were focused on him, Parker lowered his head like an ostrich. He was a nerd in school and his personality was also introverted. Boy, you're pretty good. Loki looked at Parker with approval. He finally found someone who recognized him. No, admired him, among a group of damned low-level creatures. This feeling was like a timely help and a sweet rain from heaven. Do you like to hurt others? Mobius pressed the button again, and this time the image on the projection became the Chitauri attacking New York. Light cannons fell on the streets like a rainstorm, and the citizens screamed and fled everywhere. Make them feel small. Make them feel scared. Make them feel insignificant. Listening to Mobius's faint voice, Loki seemed to finally realize the other party's tricks, raised his head and said, "Your tricks can't scare me. I know who I am. A murderer." Mobius made an assertion. "A liberator," Loki said with a somewhat argumentative attitude. "Liberation? Do you mean liberating the eyeball?" Mobius pressed the button again, and Loki appeared on the projection wearing a suit and holding a device. "Gouging out someone's eyeballs alive. Look at that smile. You really enjoy it." Mobius continued to pursue. "Do you like hurting them?" Loki's expression has become a little nervous. He looked around. "You know, I don't have to play this kind of game with you. I'm a god." Mobius asked like a seasoned hunter who was staring at his prey. "God? What god are you? The god of tricks?" He turned his head and looked at the screen, but I don't see any tricks here. Indeed, at this moment, the projection showed only pure violence and terror. Seeing that Loki was silent, Mobius sighed slightly. "Let's talk about your escape. You are really good at doing something terrible and getting away with it. So what? I'm a cunning liar." There was a hint of pride in Loki's words. Mobius pondered for a moment and reached out to press the button. This is one of my favorite clips. On the projection, Loki disguised himself as an ordinary human being and robbed a large sum of money on the plane with clever means. And the most incredible thing is that when Loki jumped off the plane with the money, in the end, a rainbow bridge fell from the sky and took him away. Mobius couldn't help but pat the table. "I can't believe that you are D.B. Cooper, the most famous air robber in American history. I was still young at that time, and I lost the bet to Thor." Loki's face actually showed a trace of embarrassment, as if he was ashamed of his mischief when he was young. But Loki just defended himself for a while, and immediately turned from defense to offense, asking Mobius back. "But where was the time administration when I was messing around?" Mobius showed a mysterious smile on his face. "We are there, on the sacred timeline." Loki frowned slightly. So the timekeeper allowed those things to happen. Is that right? I don't think this is a permission or a disapproval. This is more like a halfway through. Mobius was a little speechless. He simply turned the topic back. Let's get back to talking about escape and some of your psychological problems. What do you think you are running away from? Hearing this, Loki seemed to finally be unable to tolerate Mobius's psychological games. He stood up directly from the chair. Seeing this, Mobius took out the controller without hesitation and pressed the button, and Loki returned to the chair. Seeing Loki's helpless look, Mobius smiled. You see, I can also use tough measures. Faced with this kind of time level manipulation, Loki, who had lost all his magic power, could not resist at all, and could only spread his hands and said helplessly, I just want to stand up and express a point of view. Mobius, oh, sorry, please continue. But there's no point in talking about it now. Loki complained with a wronged look on his face. Mobius, well, okay, then you just continue to sit. Loki became even more upset. I do whatever I want, don't bother me. Mobius was not annoyed at all, just spread his hands and said, okay. Looking at Loki on the screen, everyone suddenly had an indescribable sense of weirdness. Are you acting like a spoiled child with that, Mobius? Shut up. Low-level creature. If you don't need your unevolved eyes, I can help you dig them out. Loki was about to go berserk. Why is this theater trying to make things difficult for him? Exclamation mark. Why is it always showing his embarrassing scenes? DB Cooper, the initiator of the first hijacking in history, successfully hijacked a plane through a note and also obtained a ransom of $200,000 and then disappeared. And in the episode Loki, there is a clip where Loki dresses up as DB Cooper, and Loki's dress really looks like DB Cooper. Chapter 24. In front of their mother, children are always just children. Loki stood up from his chair in anger and walked to the corner of the room. Like a trapped beast, Loki turned around and asked Mobius, what do you want? Mobius, I want you to tell me honestly why you did those things. Loki said bitterly, you are lying. I'm serious. Mobius also stood up from the chair. I just want to dig deeper. The real thoughts deep in the heart of the terrifying god of trickery. Loki looked a little collapsed, raised his head, and muttered to himself, I know where this place is. Everything here is an illusion. Staring at Mobius, Loki's voice and expression became gloomy. This is a cruel and carefully designed scam manipulated by a weak person like you to create fear. You do all this just to control me. Loki opened his hands and showed an arrogant smile on his face. You walk around here, pretending to be the supreme arbitration power in the universe. Mobius nodded seriously. We are the arbitration power. You are not. Loki said firmly. All my choices are made by myself. Okay. Your choice is yours. No problem. Let's continue. Mobius seemed to have no interest in arguing with Loki at all, just wanting to pull him back to his psychological game. I think this will definitely excite you. Mobius pressed the machine, and the projection on the screen suddenly changed. A group of men and women knelt down in front of Loki with horrified faces. The temptation of freedom deprives you of the happiness in your life. Loki was wearing a horned helmet and was giving a passionate speech. Let you pursue power like crazy. Looking at the projection of himself who seemed to be at the peak of his life, Loki's face showed annoyance. Yes, I almost got everything I should have. And I did this because I wanted to do it, not because of any fate. It's not because of you or the Time Mutation Administration that set a path for me. Loki became more and more angry. Loki looked at Mobius and said hatefully, to be honest, you are pathetic. You are a worthless pawn, a small stone on my way forward. Have you finished speaking? Mobius's face suddenly became serious. You should take your past actions seriously. Mobius pressed the machine, and the picture on the projection changed again. I saw Loki handcuffed with chains, and walked in front of the Queen Frigga. Damn it, then there will be no good in my future? Loki even felt a toothache when he saw himself being reduced to a prisoner. Loki in the screening room. The timeline is the time when he just experienced the Hulk's round-trip fall and was about to be arrested by the Avengers. Looking at Frigga in front of him, Loki said proudly, Mother, am I proud of you? Frigga's face was full of worry. Loki, don't make things worse. in the Time Management Bureau. Since Loki had never seen the future, he directly sneered at everything in the projection. What is this? No, this is another scam. This has never happened. Mobius stretched out his finger and pointed at Loki. For you, these just haven't happened yet. Loki, we at the Time Management Bureau know not only your past, we know what is destined to happen in your future. This is ridiculous. Loki shook his head in disbelief, as if he didn't believe what Mobius said at all. But the projection continued. Queen Frigga, am I not your mother? Loki, wearing shackles, replied grimly, you are not. Loki looked at himself on the screen, his face livid, and he said nothing. In the Avengers building, the father and son trio who had just come out suddenly changed their colors when they saw the woman on the screen. Mom. Mother. Frigga. Looking at himself and Frigga on the screen, Loki suddenly realized something. It's the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves will invade soon. Loki's face turned pale. He would never forget the day when, if possible, if there was a chance, he would rather die of old age in the dungeon of Asgard forever than let that woman, the only one who understood him and made him feel warm, suffer even the slightest harm, not to mention the tragedy that followed. When Thor heard Loki's words, small arcs of electricity unconsciously ignited on his body. Although the arcs were small, they were ignited by Thor himself, not the power of Thor's hammer. He is Rocky, the god of tricks, the most owed bear child in the 9 realms, and even a warrior who brings blood and death. Because he knew it was that he killed his mother. Chapter 25. Trampling on the fate of others wantonly. What kind of justice is this? Looking at Loki, who was crying, Ancient One was very understanding and helped to perform the subspace isolation. At this moment, Loki was crying, and he didn't care about the so-called face or the title of the so-called god of trickery. The biggest scar in Loki's heart has been revealed. Even if he is a person with a heart of stone, once the softest part of his heart is touched, it is impossible for him to remain calm. Besides, Loki's nature is not very bad. Although he invaded the Earth and killed countless civilians, he couldn't wash it off. But everything he did was to prove himself. As for the civilians on the Earth, in his opinion, they might really be the same as ants. When humans were demolishing, didn't they care about the feelings of the ants on the land? On this side, Loki had a place to cover his face and cry, and on the other side, in the screening room, Loki looked at the image of the dead Frigga with disbelief, his mouth twitching, and his whole body trembling. This is impossible. This is fake. Fake. Bruce Wayne looked at Loki with a complicated expression. As a man who lost his parents and became an orphan at the age of 8, he understood very well how painful Loki was in front of him. Mr. Loki, calm down. Peter Parker said, you are now much more powerful than Loki in the video. You are fully capable of preventing the tragedy from happening. Loki suddenly woke up. The series of blows before made him a little dizzy. He is still in the Avengers 1, and Frigga is still alive. Loki clenched his fists, adjusted his face quickly, and once again became the god of trickery. What is played on it has nothing to do with me. As long as I'm here, no one can hurt my mother. Dark Elves, right. Okay, wait until I go back. I will try my best to turn the entire Jotunheim, Svartalfheim Dark Elf Kingdom, into Jotunheim. No, I will directly use the Rainbow Bridge to blow up the entire Jotunheim. Loki's scarlet pupils flashed with madness and murderous intent. His understanding of the Dark Elves was all in the ancient books of Asgard. After all, most of the Dark Elves were almost wiped out by Odin's father, their grandfather Bor. But when he saw that this group of rats that had long been extinct, or even if they were not extinct, they were hiding in a corner to survive, dared to invade Asgard, and killed one of the most important people in his heart, Loki could no longer suppress his murderous intent against them. Staring at Frigga's body on the projection, Loki's face changed drastically. The confident and arrogant expression on his face disappeared in an instant, and only horror and shock remained. Trembling as he watched this scene, Loki shook his head, and suddenly, as if he had grabbed a life-saving straw, he shouted loudly, "Where did you take her? Where is she?" Mobius shrugged. "You led the Dark Elf directly to her." Loki shouted angrily, "This is an illusion. You are lying to me. This is real." Mobius finally showed a dagger-like expression on his face, pointed his finger at Loki's face and shouted, "This is the correct flow of time. It will happen again and again, because this is the path of the sacred timeline. The Time Variance Administration will ensure that this will happen. Loki did not accept Mobius' words at all, and kept asking, "Where is she? Answer me." Mobius ignored his question, and continued to ask, "Why don't you tell me now? Do you like hurting people? Do you like killing?" Loki responded angrily, "I will kill you." Mobius asked coldly, "Just like you did to your mother?" In one sentence, Loki was completely broken. He grabbed the chair beside him in anger, aimed at Mobius, and threw it out. The chair did not hit Mobius, but smashed the projection in the air. Seeing Loki rushing over desperately, Mobius immediately activated the time controller in his hand and reversed his time again. Due to the change in the position of the chair, Loki fell to the ground all of a sudden, frowning in pain. Seeing this, Mobius said with some regret, "Sorry, the time reversal device only reversed you, not the chair." Reaching out and putting the reversal device into the pocket of his suit, Mobius looked down at Loki sitting on the floor, and said in an unquestionable voice, "Loki, you are not born to be a king. Your birth is only to cause pain, torture, and death. It is so now, so in the past, and so in the future. This is your destiny." He reached out, and started the machine on the table again. "But it is precisely because you made such a choice, that others can achieve a brilliant life." Accompanied by Mobius' words, Iron Man, Hulk, Thor and others appeared on the projection. They formed a circle, fully armed and ready to fight. This is the Battle of Twist City. That was the first time that our Avengers gathered together. Tony dragged his chin and said, "Combined with what we said before, if this is a drama, a movie, and Loki plays the villain who was defeated by us." Loki asked with his scholar eyes wide open, "Villain? I'm the villain? What about you? The protagonist? The hero? Why? Why did those bastards set my fate into this shitty look? Since I already know the tragedy of the future, then I will do my best to change it. My life, I'm the master of my own destiny. I'm the master of my own destiny. Not that shitty time administration. I support you." Hikari walked out of the light particle barrier and came to Loki. He looked at Loki, whose face was ferocious, and whose scholar eyes revealed murderous intent, and said calmly, "No one can and no one can be the master of other people's destiny. Our destiny should be determined by ourselves. If the Time Administration Bureau has positioned your destiny as a villain, and all this is just to maintain the sacred timeline, that is, their so-called justice, then this kind of justice itself is unjust." Hikaru's voice echoed throughout the entire theater. This alien who seemed to have no mouth at all made a deafening sound at this moment. Wanting to trample on the fate of others, and play with others like clowns. What kind of justice is this? I don't know what your past was like, but I agree with you on the position facing the Time Administration Bureau. Loki, give you this. Hikaru took out a bracelet and something that looked like a big sword or a big middle finger. This is the superpower bracelet in Maximum Galaxy. To be honest, weapons like the superpower bracelet, which can be controlled by people, and can beat Ultraman in turn, and Maximum Galaxy, which can easily defeat Zetan, but was defeated by the fusion of Tanovis monsters, are weapons with full of rebuttals in terms of combat power. I personally think that they are inseparable from a certain sadistic person. So what the basement manager said is very right. If security cannot be strengthened, can we just shoot Hikari and kill him? These are all my inventions. They have strong power. I hope you can make good use of them to resist fate. I still have mission to complete and cannot go to your world with you. I have placed restrictions on the superpower bracelet in Maximum Galaxy. They can only be activated at certain times. May you be able to break the cage of fate. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.